minutes of the Planning Commission, and those were also mailed to you prior to the meeting. Any edits, questions? We'll need a motion to adopt the minutes. It's been a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it, and those particular minutes have been adopted. Now we're on to item D, which is the recognition of the council members. And we just go down the list and start with the folks that we see first come in. And so we first saw Council Lady Van Rees. You want to speak now? Come on up. Welcome.
Hi there. Good afternoon. I am always pleased to be here, and I have 3 things going on in District 8. 2 of them are on consent, so I just wanted to speak briefly about them, and then I'll come back when we get to the other one. So you'll see me twice. You know, you're excited. First of all, item number 11, the Broadmoor and Ben Allen SP adjustment. We've had yet another community meeting. I think this is probably the most community meeting item that we've had during the first process, and so we wanted to make sure and get back to the folks again about this. And as you'll see, it's a slight change to the Ben Allen side, changing what was perceived to be perhaps a hotel and restaurant into a learning space instead. And the incorporation of that school in that area would also be collaborating with the farm that remains. And so the community supports that. There's been a lot of talk about making sure that if this is a school, that we deal with traffic, and that has all been dealt with, and much to the community's delight. If necessary, traffic requires a stoplight at Hart and Ben Allen off of Ellington Parkway, then the applicant's willing to do that, which is a big deal to the community. So the community offers its support in addition to that of the planning staff, and so I wanted to mention that to you because you might not know if I didn't tell you. Also, on item number 20, it's a PUD revision known as Arrowhead. This has also had several community meetings, and it has the support of the neighbors there on Walton Lane and that of school board member Jill Spearing. This is next door to Maplewood High School. So both of those items we're very excited about, the community's excited about, and I just wanted to thank you for your consideration on that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Council Lady. We appreciate you coming down. Then next is Councilman Larry Hager. Come on up. Welcome, Councilman.
Welcome. How are y'all? I'll wait till mine comes up because it's not on the consent agenda, and we'll discuss it. I know a couple of people had some concerns about the proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Jeff Syracuse, you want to speak now? I saw Councilman Syracuse. Where is he? He's in the back. Nope. Okay. Councilman Mendez, speak now. Councilman. You wait also. Perfect. Councilman Pulley.
Yes, sir.
Come on up. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the opportunity. I wanted to speak on 2 issues. I'll start with agenda item number 29, which is District 25 matter. And this concerns a down zone effort that the neighborhood came to me and started. And I just want to tell you that there's been a fairly involved community process. Several of the neighbors reached out to me with concerns about creating an area of sensitive development in their neighborhood. So we met with a group of neighbors and decided to pursue a much larger pattern than that which has been for which we've applied. And they went down a process of examining a contextual overlay and a downzone bill. So they did a lot of communication with the neighbors, and we had surveys sent out, and we listened to the feedback. And we needed pretty significant neighborhood buy-in to proceed forward on these. And we didn't get it on the other streets, but we did on this street general bait, so we decided to pursue, based on the large number of supporters that we had in the neighborhood, pursue this avenue to preserve character and general pattern development and create an area of sensitive development. So we had a number of community meetings, and as you well know, this is consistent with the neighborhood maintenance policy, and I just want to the neighbors are going to be here. The block captain, Emmett Russell, will speak at the appropriate time, and he'll give you the survey results and some of the things like that. But I wanted to definitely lodge my support for the planning department's recommended substitute, which pulls out to the parcels we had in our initial application. So I thank you for your indulgence on that issue. Now I'd like to also briefly add a little plug for Councilman Syracuse and his initiative on the transit-oriented development. I've monitored this from a little bit of a distance, and I can tell you that you will not find a harder working council member on a particular issue than you have Councilman Syracuse on this one. He's worked diligently to listen to concerns that were brought to him, work through legal issues, and continue to push this bill down the road so that he can handle those things. I know him to be a man of high integrity, and I just want to lodge my support for the planning department's recommendation on the transit-oriented development, and I stand here before you as I stand here today, ready to support this bill as it comes to council. So I just wanted to let you know that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman. We appreciate you coming down.
Yes, sir.
Councilman Davis, I just saw. There you moved. Welcome, Councilman.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks, everyone, for having me. Been a while since I've been in front of you. I am here today to speak on Ivy Hall, the neighborhood landmark overlay in my district, which also has a historic landmark running with it concurrently. First off, I wanted to talk about the public engagement. I feel we've had a couple really good meetings. Our first meeting was a couple weeks back on the 14th on the location, actually, at Ivy Hall. Excuse me. The applicant actually had us on hand to view the property, view the home recording studio there, and talk through what the ideas and plans are. Scott from Smith G Studios actually was on hand to help educate the neighborhood, what the neighborhood landmark overlay is, and sort of talk through everything and make a presentation. We were well attended. We did have a few non-neighbors there. Most were from Shelton Avenue and sort of the immediate vicinity there. The initial response was extremely positive. Prior to the meeting, the applicant actually had presented me with a petition. It was very compelling. And even after that meeting, we had a few converts there that were initially not supportive that were able to be in support by the end of the meeting. We had a handful still with concerns or just opposed, so we did do a second meeting this past Tuesday at Inglewood Lytton Alumni Center. I wanted to hold that as well in advance of this meeting, because we were able to go over the development plan even prior to this meeting here today, since we've decided to do both step 1 and 2 of the neighborhood landmark overlay at the beginning here simultaneously. And I know this is slightly out of step or out of practice, but we wanted to be transparent on the front end to the community and make sure everyone was informed of the full plan right out of the gate. I'm actually not sure why that normally is the case, that you do that later, but I understand it's, I guess, a lot of commitment to move forward up front. There were a handful of new people at that meeting, actually, too, and all left in support. I know you've received emails today. We do have some opposition. There's a handful out of there. They're just not in agreement with this in general. And I don't feel we can get them in the end. I feel we do have strong consensus overall. At a glance, to me, anecdotally, not without a survey, but over 75–80% of the people that have been engaged, I feel, have been supportive in the process. So as far as the development plan itself, with the landmark overlay, I feel it's appropriate, as planning staff has noted to you in the report. I think Ivy Hall is one of the few properties in Inglewood that this actually fits with this tool. It's a huge acreage. It's a very large property and home. And this is an unobtrusive use to neighbors in the community. There will be no noise. Applicant must live on the property. There will be a very minimal parking, as noted in your plan that you'll review, I guess, today. And then what minimal parking there is, I feel prevent guest parking on the street, which, of course, no one wants added street parking. And then to me, a big thing to boot is from the beginning, we negotiated a historic landmark overlay, again, running concurrently with this. Robin from Historic gave me that idea, and I told the applicant I actually did not want to move forward without doing both of them. I thought that would be great for the community. I feel like the historic landmark overlay is nothing to sneeze at and is a huge win for the community. There's a reason everyone tends to do conservation overlays these days. The historic overlay is very restrictive, and it's hard to get. And we do have a great conservation overlay already existing there in Inglewood Place. That should be noted. So, I'll move forward knowing that Ivy Hall will never have vinyl windows, that the roof will always be reviewed and the exterior will always be reviewed on Ivy Hall, and I think that's a big win. I'm thrilled for the community, and again, I have some really great neighbors that may not be for this. I respect everyone's opinion. I just think this is a little trade-off, again, for that historic overlay, and I feel like the neighborhood landmark overlay itself is actually an appropriate measure. I don't think we have a bad precedent here, and I don't think we're going to have a detriment to quality of life. And again, in the end, for me, I try to go with the consensus and the majority of the neighbors, and I feel like we have a solid majority in the immediately adjacent area with all the neighbors on Shelton right there that want to move this forward and are okay with moving this forward. So that's where I stand with you today, and I hope that you will vote for this to move forward. Please send it to us at council, and we can take it from there. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilman. Appreciate you coming down. Councilman Sledge, I saw. I'm going to wait. You're going to wait? Okay. Councilman O'Connell? Right on time. How are you? Welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. I'm here today to speak in favor of the proposed Edge Hill Neighborhood Conservation Zoning Overlay. As I was knocking on doors and visiting with residents of Edge Hill throughout the summer of 2015, I heard dire concerns about the future of this historic, diverse neighborhood. Many residents felt as if the Nashville Next planning process overseen by Metro Planning erased clearly expressed community preferences in a detailed neighborhood design plan. So they took action, engaging myself and Councilmember Sledge, who represents District 17 and with whom I share overall representation of the Edge Hill neighborhood and community. Working with the planning liaison in the Metro Council office, we addressed one early concern, walkability as a function of character, by changing the base zoning of most R6 parcels to an alternative zoning that encourages maintenance of existing sidewalk networks. We did that early last year with the support of this commission. But the deeper character issue remained. Multiple stakeholders continued to discuss how to address it, considering another neighborhood design plan, an urban design overlay, and eventually settling on a neighborhood conservation overlay district, which we are here today to discuss. I was pleased to see that the staff report recommended approval, identifying the critical planning function from Nashville Next of preserving historic resources. We had a lot of discussion prior to the Metro Historic Zoning Commission's approval of this about that very issue, and I am happy to be here in support of the tool that many residents, including specifically many long-term residents, agree is the best way to ensure that this neighborhood is preserved in an era of unprecedented growth in Nashville. One thing you will observe today, and probably have already observed through correspondence, is that there is not consensus on this issue within the neighborhood and community. Edge Hill is not in a moment, I think, where that consensus is going to be discoverable, where the two sides are going to come together easily. This is one where I think there is just a profound difference of belief about the best way ahead. Nashville Next incorporated a growth and preservation map, and you will see the ideas of growth and preservation are very much in tension in Edge Hill. After nearly 2 years of conversation, though, I'm comfortable that enough residents support this overlay district to bring it through a formal public process. There are ongoing conversations about both the boundary and the design guidelines, although I think with Historic's approval, we're now more focused on the boundary and whether or not this conversation should continue all the way to council. I continue to pay close attention to the overall conversation among stakeholders. I wanted to thank you all for your service and your consideration of this proposed neighborhood conservation zoning overlay. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Appreciate you coming down. Councilor Henderson, you want to go now? Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you. I'm Councilmember Henderson, representing District 34. I was going to speak to you on two items, but one is deferred. The other remains on consent, as I understand, but just in case someone does come to speak on it, is item 28 regarding Camelot Acres, a rezoning from R40 to RS40. I just wanted to thank neighbors and express that there was a very broad and diligent community engagement effort. And I feel very confident that is supported by a very, very large majority of that neighborhood. That neighborhood has an immediate proximity to the Radnor Lake State Natural Area and a lot of hillside lots. So I think this downzoning is appropriate, especially in that environmental space with that adjacency to the state park for the preservation of mature trees and our hillsides. So I just wanted to thank neighbors and speak in support of item 28. Thank you.
Thank you. I think that was all the council members. We'll make sure. Do we miss anybody? Make sure we get everybody. All right. I appreciate all the council members coming down and look forward to your additional comments. Now we're on item E, which is items for deferral withdrawal. Lisa.
The items for deferral or withdrawal are item number 5, 2018Z038PR001 on page 6 of your agenda. Staff recommendation is to defer to the August 9th Planning Commission meeting. Item number 6, 2018Z039PR001 on page 6. A staff recommendation is to defer to the August 9th Planning Commission meeting. Item number 8A on page 7 of your agenda, 2018 CP006001. Staff recommendation is to defer to the July 26th Planning Commission meeting. The associated case, item 2018 SP 043001. The Security Central Storage SP. Staff recommendation is to defer to the July 26th Planning Commission meeting. Item number 14 on page 9 of your agenda, the Elm Hill Place SP. Staff recommendation is to defer to the July 26th Planning Commission meeting, and I will note that Commissioner Blackshear is recusing herself from that item. Item number 15, 2018 S084001, the McCanna Subdivision Lot 1 in Seven Hills, Section 8, Lot 327 subdivision. Staff recommendation is to defer to the July 26th Planning Commission meeting. Item number 17, 2018 S093001 on page 9 of your agenda. Staff recommendation is to defer to the July 26th Planning Commission meeting. Item number 30, 2018 Z061PR001. Staff recommendation is to defer to the July 26th Planning Commission meeting. That's it.
Thank you. And so, commissioners, let's go through these slow so we're all on the same page. On items for deferral withdrawal are items 5, 6, 8A and B, 14, 15, 17, and 30. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right, commissioners, you've heard the items for deferral. Is there a motion to defer?
Move approval.
It's been a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it, and those items are deferred. Now we are on to consent.
I would like to note that the meeting on July 26th is located in an alternate location at 2601 Bransford Avenue.
Now we're on the consent agenda. Item F.
As information for our audience, if you are not satisfied with the decision made by the Planning Commission today, you may appeal the decision by petitioning for a writ of cert with the Davidson County Chancery or Circuit Court. Your appeal must be filed within 60 days of the date of the entry of the Planning Commission's decision. To ensure that your appeal is filed in a timely manner and that all procedural requirements have been met, please be advised that you should contact independent legal counsel. As a notice to the public, items on the consent agenda will be voted on at a single time. No individual public hearing will be held, nor will the commission debate these items unless a member of the audience or the commission requests that the item be removed from the consent agenda. Items on consent. Item number 2, 2018 SP 006001 on page 6 of your agenda, the Prince and Duke SP, a request to rezone from R6A to SP to permit excuse me, R6A to SP on properties located on Duke and Prince. Staff recommendation is to approve with conditions and disapprove without all conditions. Item number 3, 2018 SP 016001, the City View Estates SP, a request to rezone from R8 to SP for property located at 926 West Trinity Lane. Staff recommendation is to approve with conditions and disapprove without all conditions. Item number 4, 2018 SP 033001, the 2423 Buena Vista Pike SP. Staff a request to rezone from RM4 to SP zoning for properties located on Buena Vista Pike. Staff recommendation is to approve with conditions and disapprove without all conditions. Item 9, 2018 CP 014003 on page 7 of your agenda. The Donaldson Hermitage Old Hickory Community Plan Amendment. It's a request to amend the Donaldson Hermitage Old Hickory Community Plan by amending the community character policy for various properties bounded by Spence Lane, the Cumberland River, Briley Parkway, and Mill Creek. Staff recommendation is to approve. Item number 11, 2017 SP 034002 on page 8 of your agenda, a request to amend a specific plan on properties located on Broadmoor Drive and Ben Allen Road. Staff recommendation is to approve with conditions and disapprove without all conditions. Item number 12, 2018 SP 029001, the 405 40th Avenue North SP, a request to rezone from IR to SP for property located on 40th Avenue North. Staff recommendation is to approve with conditions and disapprove without all conditions. Item number 16 on page 9 of your agenda, 2018 S 086001, the Bryant Place subdivision. It's a request for concept plan approval to create 7 lots for property located on Whites Creek Pike. Staff recommendation is to approve with conditions. Item number 18, 2018 S 101001, the Otis and Jane Maxwell property. It's a request to create 3 lots for property located on Linton Avenue. Staff recommendation is to approve with conditions. Item number 19, 3879P 003, the Rivergate Mall PUD Chick-fil-A revision and final. A request to revise the preliminary plan and for final site plan for a portion of a planned unit development located on Rivergate Parkway. Staff recommendation is to approve with conditions. Item number 20, 485P 002, a request to revise the preliminary plan for a planned unit development overlay on property located on Arrowhead Drive. Staff recommendation is to approve with conditions, and I would note that Commissioner Blackshear is recusing herself from item 20. Item 21 on page 10 of your agenda, 5381P 001, the Highland Ridge PUD revision. It's a request to revise the preliminary plan for a portion of a planned unit development on property located on Marriott Drive. Staff recommendation is to approve with conditions, and I will note that Commissioner Blackshear is recusing herself from item 21. Item 22, 2005 UD 006036, 2909 Parthenon Avenue. It's a request to modify the 31st and Long urban design overlay on property located on Parthenon Avenue. Staff recommendation is to approve with conditions. Item number 24, 2018 NHC 002001, a request to apply a neighborhood conservation overlay district to various properties located within Eastwood. Staff recommendation is to approve. Item 25 on page 11 of your agenda, 2018 Z 052PR 001, a request to rezone from CS to MUGA and MULA and from RS5 to MULA for various properties located on Clarksville Pike. Staff recommendation is to approve. Item number 26, 2018 Z 055PR 001, a request to rezone from RS5 to R6A for property located on Dr. D.B. Todd Jr. Boulevard. Staff recommendation is to approve. Item number 27, 2018Z058PR001, a request to rezone from SP to RM20A zoning for various properties located on Delaware Avenue. Staff recommendation is to approve. And item number 28, 2018Z059PR001, a request to rezone from R40 to RS40 for various properties located on Granny White Pike, Camelot Court. Staff recommendation is to approve. Under other business, item 31, employee contract renewal for Greg Claxton and Patrick Napier. Item 32, a new employee contract for Jason Swaggart. Item 33, confirmation of the Urban Residents Association's nominee to the Downtown Code Design Review Committee. And item 37, accept the director's report and approve administrative items.
Thank you. You're winded after all that. All right, Commissioners, so you've heard the items, but we'll go through these slowly to make sure that we have all of them. So items on the consent agenda includes items 2, 3, 4, 9, 11, 12, 16, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 31, 32, 33, and 37. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Perfect. Commissioners, you've heard those items. Is there a motion to adopt? There's been a motion and a second. Any other discussion for the consent agenda? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it, and the consent agenda is adopted. So that means to the viewing public and commissioners that all of the items have been taken care of except for these, and these will be heard tonight for public hearing, and we go in order. So we will hear tonight items number 1, 7A, 7B, 10A, 10B, 13, 23, and 29. All the other items have been taken care of. So, item 1, let's get started.
So, good afternoon, Commissioners. The first item on the agenda is the Donaldson Transit-Oriented Redevelopment Plan.
Well, hold on one second. Let's let everybody get, if everybody will make a quick exit if you're not here on any of these agenda items. Hard to hear, so if everybody's moving around, we'll give everybody a second. And for anyone standing up in the back, there are more seats up front that you can get to as well. All right, I think we're ready. Item number 1.
So this is a request to establish a transit-oriented redevelopment district and adopt a transit-oriented redevelopment plan on the properties highlighted yellow along Lebanon Pike from Park Drive to Stewart's Ferry Pike. Please note that the district is the area and the plan is the document for the area. Throughout the presentation, I will be referring to it as the plan. Planning staff's recommendation is to approve as recommended in the staff report, including the amended substitute ordinance and including any additional amendments at council to increase open space requirements or provide clarifying language in the ordinance or plan. So first, some history on this case. It was heard at the May 24th, 2018 Planning Commission meeting, and the Planning Commission deferred the case and instructed staff to look further into 3 items. The amended substitute ordinance that was introduced at council on June 5th also addresses these items. The first item was the Transit and Affordability Task Force recommendations of land banking and the baseline survey. To address this, planning staff has included an addendum to the staff report that includes the baseline survey data, and we are prepared to speak on it if you have questions. The second item was prohibiting short-term rentals. Planning staff received guidance from Metro Legal that STRPs may be prohibited but can't be eliminated where the use already exists. Planning staff then recommends approval as proposed in the amended substitute ordinance, which prohibits non-owner-occupied STRPs. The third item was the Design Review Committee makeup and review process. Planning staff recommends approval of the DRC makeup as proposed in the amended substitute ordinance since it is a diverse makeup. In regards to the process, within the staff report, planning staff has proposed a process until the third-party consultant's recommendations are complete. We can also speak further on this if you have questions. So I'm now going to provide a recap of the plan and planning staff's analysis. In May 2017, the Tennessee legislature passed legislation enabling housing authorities to create transit-oriented redevelopment districts in transit-deficient areas. In fall 2017, MDHA began meeting with officials and property owners about developing a transit-oriented redevelopment district along the existing Music City Star commuter rail line in Donaldson. The Donaldson Transit-Oriented Redevelopment Plan was then prepared for the redevelopment district with input from community meetings. The plan was approved by the MDHA board in January 2018. The MDHA board approved revisions to the plan on April 10th. The board will review the amended substitute ordinance on July 10th. One purpose of the plan is to implement the Downtown Donaldson Urban Design Overlays goal to create a pedestrian-friendly mixed-use downtown for the Donaldson community by adopting the existing development standards of the UDO into the plan. The UDO was developed through a public planning process and became effective in November 2009. One of the reasons that this location was chosen for the first transit-oriented redevelopment district is that the Downtown Donaldson Urban Design Overlay was already in place that has development standards, and because of the existing commuter rail stop, which is designated with the yellow star on the map. The map on the screen is the regulating plan from the UDO with the boundary of the transit-oriented redevelopment district outlined in yellow. Per the state legislation, the boundary could have included a much larger area along Lebanon Pike, which is the blue line here shown east-west, but was narrowed to include only property within the Downtown Donaldson UDO and not to include the surrounding residential neighborhoods. The western portion of the UDO, located here, was not included within the boundary because it would be more than half a mile from the rail stop. The majority of the property is located within Subdistrict 1 and 1A of the UDO, which are the transit-oriented development subdistricts. The redevelopment plan does not change any of the bulk standards within the UDO document that are in place already. So additional purposes of the plan are to address transit deficiencies by providing financing for infrastructure, improve the environment, the economy, and public health by making it easier for people to walk, bike, and take transit, and require affordable and workforce housing in a pedestrian-friendly, mixed-use environment with access to transit. As a reminder, the Planning Commission's role in reviewing the plan is advisory. The plan was submitted to the Planning Commission to determine if the land use provisions and the development standards of the plan are consistent with Nashville Next policies, the Donaldson Hermitage Old Hickory Community Plan, and the Downtown Donaldson UDO. The land uses are per the base zoning except for the conditional and prohibited uses as stated in the plan. These uses were developed based on public input received through a series of meetings. The intent is to provide for facilities, businesses, services, and residences that support transit-oriented development in an urban area along a major corridor. As mentioned, the plan adopts the existing development standards of the Downtown Donaldson UDO that has been in place since 2009. The UDO does not regulate use, but is a form-based code that focuses on building height, massing, and location. The UDO establishes subdistricts with different building types and standards that reflect the community's vision. The plan does not change any of these existing UDO development standards. To recap planning staff's analysis, the proposed Donaldson Transit-Oriented Redevelopment Plan will help achieve critical planning goals of Nashville Next and the policy. The Donaldson Transit-Oriented Redevelopment District is located within a Tier 1 center as identified on the Nashville Next Growth and Preservation Concept Map. This map is a countywide vision for growth and preservation. The plan addresses the Nashville Next goal of investing in the near term in these centers identified on the map as most critical to shape or manage demand in order to create mixed-income communities that support healthy environment, strong neighborhoods, high-capacity transit, and walkability. The more detailed policies are located within the community plans. The majority of the transit-oriented redevelopment district is located within the T4 Urban Community Center policy. The plan will help implement the existing T4 Urban Community Center policy to create urban community centers and enhance infrastructure and transportation networks to improve pedestrian, bicycle, and vehicular connectivity. The plan will also help achieve infrastructure goals. It will provide additional financing for infrastructure such as roads, bike and pedestrian improvements, parks, streetscape improvements, structured parking, and utilities, all of which are critical elements in creating walkable centers with meaningful transportation choices. The infrastructure improvements and the development they facilitate will benefit the environment, the economy, and public health by making it easy for people to walk, bike, or take transit. The plan will help achieve affordable housing goals since it includes a significant percentage of the financing generated to be applied to affordable housing within the district. This requirement offers the benefits of living in a mixed-use, pedestrian-oriented environment with access to transit to lower-income households who need these benefits most. The plan will make TOD development more likely in this location, which will provide access to more affordable transportation options to those living within and surrounding the district. So in conclusion, staff recommends approval as recommended in the staff report, including the amended substitute ordinance and including any additional amendments at council to increase open space requirements or provide clarifying language in the ordinance or plan. Planning staff has also addressed the following items as directed by the Planning Commission. The Transit and Affordability Task Force recommendation of creating a baseline survey, prohibiting short-term rentals, and the DRC process and makeup. The Donaldson Transit-Oriented Redevelopment District is in line with the policy. It will assist in implementing the Downtown Donaldson UDO, and it will help achieve critical planning goals by financing infrastructure improvements, improving the environment and public health by making it easier for people to walk, bike, and take transit, and providing affordable housing options with access to transit.
Thank you. So we'll open this item for public hearing, and Councilman Syracuse, you want to come on up and the applicant is kind of weird in this case because there's not a true applicant, but Councilman, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I won't take
Welcome
that personally, I guess. I don't guess I'm actually the applicant, but
Yeah, you're.
well, planning staff did a phenomenal job, so I'm going to cut to the chase on some of my comments that obviously would probably be repetitive from last time I was here, and I know you're tired of hearing it, and I'm kind of tired of saying it, quite honestly. Fundamentally, I am trying to push Donaldson forward with its regional partnership with Wilson County by encouraging both public and private development along the Nashville and Eastern Rail Line that will highlight how regional transit is possible and can be successful. As a board member of the Nashville and Eastern Rail Authority, I can assure you it is indeed a much desired regional partnership. This is not just another redevelopment district that overwhelmingly just benefits developers. This is community building, as you heard. This is adhering, legislatively agrees to, supports, embraces the downtown Donaldson urban design overlay. Planning staff has done an incredible job, I think, between last meeting and this, addressing some of the questions that everyone has had. I will kind of leave you with this. There are 3 development teams that are eager to take advantage of the opportunity to invest in Donaldson and provide affordable and workforce housing. The deal for the master plan of Donaldson Plaza is structured such that the part of the financing would be based on TIF for infrastructure. There is a development team that has a long-term ground lease with RTA to transform Donaldson Station into Davidson County's first true mixed-use transit center to include affordable housing. These opportunities are in danger if this doesn't succeed. My ask of you is this: please approve with conditions, as you just heard from planning staff recommendation, that the MDHA approve my amendments to the MDHA plan, that is to differentiate the short-term rentals from non-owner occupied to prohibited and owner-occupied to conditional. The second is the design review committee that gives my community a seat at the table. Currently, as written, the amendment shows that the process is being run like any other board or commission, with mayoral appointment and council approval. What is ultimately most important to me is that my community has a seat at the table. I don't think it's too much to ask, and I ask for your approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Then also the lead agency, obviously, is MDHA. Do y'all want to speak now? Come on up. Welcome.
Thank you, commissioners. We look forward to today's discussion. I thank you for the opportunity for comment. My name is Will Chopin. I'm MDHA's general counsel. I'm here to speak today on behalf of MDHA Executive Director Jim Harbison. Regarding Donaldson Transit-Oriented Redevelopment, we do not have a comment today on the substance of the plan, rather the procedure. The Transit-Oriented Redevelopment Statute sets forth numerous procedural requirements that must be met before MDHA may carry out a redevelopment project. Among these is a public hearing, the public's opportunity to comment on and consider the plan. And then, of course, is council approval of the plan after the public hearing. After consultation with legal counsel just this week, we feel the steps taken on Donaldson, specifically with the June 5th amended plan, have been in conflict with state law. Continuing without ensuring state law compliance could expose the district to legal challenge and hamstring some of the essential tools of redevelopment, such as tax increment financing. We want, very much so, we want to find solutions and keep Donaldson moving. But we need to comply with state law. So what are the concerns? Council approved a plan on June 5th that was not presented for public hearing on May 15. The amended plan should go before the MDHA board and then be presented to council for its approval after the statutory public hearing on the plan. What are the potential challenges? Well, with respect to TIF that I mentioned earlier, MDHA, as the borrower for tax increment finance for a tax increment financing deal, could be asked by the lender to provide a legal opinion on the validity and the availability of tax increment financing. Borrower's counsel has advised us just this week there would be concerns with being able to provide such an opinion, a legal opinion on the validity and availability of tax increment financing, if there's a question of the validity of the plan or the district with respect to compliance with state law. We thank the Planning Commission for this opportunity to comment and look forward to continued discussion today. Thank you.
Thank you. Hold on one second. I'm going to ask our legal. So thank you for that. So I'm going to have our legal counsel tell us his opinion, just so we know, so that of timing of issues and if there's a question in TIF financing. Go ahead.
I defer for one moment until I'm getting a little bit more guidance on the matter. But I would say that Metro Council has the ability to approve a transit-oriented redevelopment plan, and additionally, before a third reading before council, anything goes through a full legal analysis with Metro Legal, and that would be the proper way to address any legal issues.
So what specifically is MDHA asking for?
We feel to comply with this, to address the state law issues, we feel that there are two possibilities. One, the plan that was presented for public comment at the public hearing on May 15th be the Donaldson Transit-Oriented Redevelopment Plan. Or two, with respect to the amended plan that was attached to the substitute ordinance and passed at second reading on June 5th, we feel that needs to go back to our MDHA board for its approval, and then the statutory public hearing pursuant to the state statute, section 704, would need to be held with the proper noticing requirements taking place.
All right, so we just want to make sure we're getting this straight, because it's the first time we've ever considered a TOD, and we're an advisory body on this. And so today, our attorney and our executive director is telling us that we can still hear the matter today and vote on it today, and then council can take action and MDHA can take action after we hear it. I just want to be crystal clear of what you all are asking for and what our role is as a commission. I want the commissioners to feel very comfortable on what our role is today, being advisory, and then the council and the MDHA can consider the substitute. Are there questions on that?
Well, can you put the public hearing that's referenced as the council public hearing, correct?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
And we're following through with our public hearing today as the Planning Commission.
Okay.
Which is, we're not violating any law.
Okay.
Or state law. Thank you. Appreciate that. Oh, Saul, you want to come on up, sir?
I'm Saul Solomon. I also represent MDHA, but that's correct. We're not really asking the commission to do anything at this time, and we look forward to the discussion. And basically, just want to make everybody aware that the process of this thing has been crazy, and we appreciate your patience. But I think a substantive discussion is absolutely in line with state law at this point in time, as far as the commission is concerned. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Appreciate the clarification. Make sure we're doing the right thing. All right. So So that's the applicant's comments. Is there anyone wishing to speak in support of the TOD? Seeing none, anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Councilman, come on up. Do the councilman, and then the citizens can talk.
Thank you. Bob Mendez, Metro Council at Large. First, I want to thank Councilman Syracuse. It's a little awkward to be here speaking against something in his district, but I wear the hats of representing the whole county, having been on the previous mayor's affordability Transit and Affordability Task Force, and also the chair of the council's ad hoc Affordable Housing Committee. I think, as you know from my comments last time, this is something that I've been working on since the task force at the end of last year, and have had lots of meetings with everybody involved in this, trying to improve the legislation. And by the time I was here last, on May 24, I guess it was, a lot of issues have been resolved. Some issues were outstanding, and you all disapproved it and wanted some things to be looked into. I've decided that I'm opposed, and that I'm going to not work further on trying to get the legislation to be better. Some of those reasons, I think, may fall into your limited purview of an advisory role, looking at the land use, and some of the reasons that I've got for deciding to be opposed might not. But I want to just run through what they are relatively quickly, so you all know and have it as context, and you guys can decide what goes into your analysis and what doesn't. So the new facts, since we were here last, we, the city, has approved a budget that is selling some $38 million of one-time assets, literally repealed an employee pay plan to renege on raises, and shortchanged school funding by 5% compared to the request. And the undisputed facts through the budget process that the administration and Metro Finance never disputed is that it's much worse next year as far as the budget process goes. There's some $56 million worth of new debt obligations coming online in the next 2 fiscal years, and the revenue that that finance is looking at is not going to be enough to cover that. I think by finance's own acknowledgement, going to have to be some curtailing in the size of government, probably jobs next year. And through the course of the budget process, finance never disputed that. So that's new. The other thing that's new is the affordability survey that planning did very quickly and efficiently is in, and you guys seen in the staff report that it shows that for 100% of area median income, something like 90% of the housing units in the immediate area are affordable. So currently the area is plenty affordable compared to lots of places in town. And the third new thing is I've seen, now that we've got the budget crunch, seen the finances behind the numbers that get talked about, the financing infrastructure improvements. And as I understand it, the director can confirm, I don't believe you all, the planning staff, has seen that or vetted the financing assumptions that are written into the plan. And frankly, I think they're not that solid. For one example, for the $85 million worth of existing real estate in the district, the financing assumptions behind this model assume an increase in tax revenue from the existing property every single year. And we know that's demonstrably false for these first couple of years. Revenue for the existing properties from taxes is going to be exactly the same this year as it was last year, and again next year at least. We're sure about that. And the only money in the plan that comes to Metro for operating expenses, even conceivably, would be from these existing properties. We're looking, if the plan is put in place, that expecting $300 million worth of new real estate in the district in the next 10 years. We know that that costs something more in operating expenses. We know it does. Fire, police, schools, something. You just can't build $300 million worth of real estate without increasing your operating budget at all. And this plan will give absolutely no dollars to Metro for being able to pay for those increased things. And my view is that if we've made our bed now on the budget, we've reneged on payments for cost of living increases. We're selling off assets to make ends meet. It's going to be worse next year. There are operating costs that we're having problems with. The idea of voluntarily investing government money to incentivize development built in a way where we get no operating revenue back for the first decade, and the area is already 90% affordable, according to the work that planning did, doesn't make sense. If this was our families and we were having a budget crunch and we were saying, hey, is now a good time to make an investment that'll pay off 20 years from now? We'd say no. Let's wait it out. Even if it's a great plan, we'd wait it out to see that the family budget got better. On the affordability side, I don't think the MDHA representatives said it clearly, but I believe the dispute that's causing them to want to go back to a public hearing is they don't like the way the Design Review Committee is set up in the substitute that got submitted to the council on June 5. That's the nature of the line in the sand that they're drawing there. And so that whole, is, and we talked about this last time, is the Design Review Committee going to be reflective of directly elected officials, or is it going to reflect the indirect MDHA input for 30 years? That's the debate that's open. Another debate that is open is, I think what's recommended in the planning staff recommendations is that MDHA will set the goal for the number of affordable units in the district for the full 30 years. I think Adrian Harris with the Mayor's Office on Housing would say that's not the way it should go, that it should be some combination of the Mayor's Office and the council setting the goals for affordable units, not MDHA setting those goals. But at the end of the day, at this time, this idea of investing, even if it's otherwise a good plan, at a time where we know that we'd be voluntarily spending government money to incentivize building $300 million worth of new real estate and getting nothing back for the increased operating cost, at this time doesn't make sense to do. And there's the other issues of, I think the proponent just said that we're not going to get this plan approved, the applicant, we're not going to get approved anytime soon. There's no agreement on the Design Review Committee. There's no agreement on who sets the goal. And just fundamentally, I feel like even if you approve for the limited purpose of the land use matches with Nashville Next and all our policies, I would request, if you approve it, that because your review is limited to land use, that y'all say that, so when we get to the council, there isn't this, hey, Planning Commission says it's great, let's do it. I think we'd want to at least say Planning Commission said, if other objections are resolved, the land use that's proposed is consistent with Nashville Next. I'm going to leave it up to you guys about whether you feel like these affordability issues and the budget problems are within your purview or not. But I wanted to explain why, at this point, given what's happened since the last meeting, that I'm going to be a no. I do appreciate MDHA and Councilman Syracuse and the Mayor's Office and planning. Everybody's worked really hard on this, and I just fundamentally think that we need to get our house in order as a city before voluntarily doing something that will increase our operating costs without any revenue to support it. So thanks a lot.
Thank you, Councilman. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? If y'all will line up behind the microphone, everybody has 2 minutes, and please state your name and your address.
Hey guys, Terry Krotzer, 3212 Knobview. I'm one of the property owners in this district. We're not totally against it, but we sent you a letter today. Hopefully you got to see it in an email. And we've been asking a lot of questions, not getting answers. And from our opinion, we're not going to hand over our properties to MDHA. That's our opinion. We feel like there's too many holes in it. Councilman Mendez kind of stated the way we feel. We want to see Donaldson grow, and we want it to happen. We'd like to see the library come in. Councilman Syracuse has done a great job at this, but there's just too many questions that have not been answered. The review committee, that's just one of them. I voted for my council person, and I voted for folks to represent me, my state representatives. I didn't vote for MDHA, and that is our opinion. We appreciate the time you guys have put into it. Please look at that email. I know you've got these from us before, but that's where we stand as the owners. We had a big meeting Monday night, 150 people there. We submitted 250 questions to Representative Jernigan and Councilman Syracuse. Those questions I sent you today are part of them. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you coming down. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and we'll go to Vice Chair. Would you like to go first? Thank you.
Can I ask a quick question? Can the executive director and council explain our role?
Yes, I'm sorry. We should,
especially relative to the financial aspect of this. Is that something we need to consider, or are we looking at this strictly from a land use and policy perspective?
Great question.
Thank you. I do think this is an incredibly complex project from a policy perspective in a lot of different ways. And it's unusual in the sense that the Planning Commission, we're typically looking at zone changes, policy amendments, and the like. We don't actually see that many redevelopment districts, and this is the first of the transit-oriented redevelopment districts. But as I've thought about this project, I've considered a couple of questions. One is, what are our fundamental goals and objectives? And as usual, we're balancing a number of competing priorities and interests in our review. And what it boiled down, at least in my estimation, was that we have a policy in place here, a T4 community center policy that calls for additional investment in transportation infrastructure, circulation, public amenities, and the like. And so that was the first sort of threshold test that I applied when looking at our recommendation. The second question, which I think is important to you, and that question is, what is our role? And I think that we do have a narrow role. It's advisory in one respect, and that is, are the land uses appropriate? Are the bulk standards appropriate? And in this instance, we have a UDO here in place today that has been in place for several years, and so the bulk standards have been established. This isn't changing any of those standards. And so I would say the first threshold for our role is, what is the land use and is it appropriate? The second is, I would say, a broader policy question that derives from our work in Nashville Next. And here we might say that the relationship between affordable housing and transportation is appropriate and critical. Are those components of the plan broadly asked? And in this instance, they are. There are two other entities that are involved in this discussion, as you've heard, City Council and MDHA, as well as the neighborhood groups and associations who've been participating in this conversation. And I would say that as a resident, I absolutely care very much that we are thinking about our public investments and our budget in Nashville. But to my thinking, that is really a council objective. I don't think anyone expects the Planning Commission to be making decisions based on our budget priorities to that level of specificity. I do think that that is not appropriate. But I do hope between the Commission and MDHA's expertise, as well as the good work at City Council, that broadly the kinds of concerns that we would have as a result of Nashville Next will be addressed by those entities. We all have different expertise and roles, and our role, again, is really more to the land use question.
May I follow up with that?
Yeah. Commissioner Sims.
In a 2014 document that actually outlines the history and legislation of this TIF funding in the redevelopment districts, it says that the redevelopment plan is then submitted to MDHA Board of Commissioners for approval. Then there will be a public hearing before the Metro Planning Department, after which its approval will be needed. And I don't know what that really means. Approval of all the parts, approval of part of it?
Yeah. Answer that question.
Yeah, I would say my understanding is the state legislature rewrote that in 2017 TCA 132704 for transit-oriented redevelopment plans says, an authority shall not initiate any transit-oriented redevelopment project under this part until the governing body or the agency designated by the governing body has provided a transit-oriented redevelopment plan. So Metro Council has the ability to approve of a plan.
Our part is only part of the plan? I mean, what is our responsibility to?
I think here you have to think about the mission of the planning department and our expertise. And if you look at traditional redevelopment districts, we have assessed those based on land use policy, based on bulk standards, and whether or not the area that's identified for the district is appropriate. And we use the Nashville Next plan broadly to assess our recommendation. I don't think that getting into a level of specificity where we're looking at financing or even the specific affordability benchmarks is appropriate for this commission. Rather, we're looking broadly at the relationships and determining whether or not the appropriate components are within the plan. But again, it's at a broad level.
Any other questions of commissioners before we start discussion? All right, Vice Chair?
I think those two questions and the responses articulated by our executive director and council really sum up my feelings about this all, which is, I certainly recognize a lot of the concerns. The budgetary concerns are a new development since our last meeting, but that's certainly a very significant concern. The affordability concerns that we talked a lot about at the last meeting continue to be a concern. Yes, this is an area, I was actually surprised to see nearly 100% of the units were currently considered affordable. But that also means with or without this transit-oriented redevelopment area, this is a neighborhood that's ripe for gentrification. And it's going to go forward most likely with or without, at least in some way, it's going to go forward with or without this specific redevelopment district. So getting some measures in place to try to make sure we capture some continuing affordable housing in this area, I think, is a benefit of this plan. I think the studies that have been done and the data that's been gathered, I think this is a really good framework that we should consider. I think it would be great for the planning department and MDHA and the mayor's office of affordable housing to continue coming together around this idea of creating a scorecard, not just for where we're creating transit-oriented redevelopment plans, but just in general. I think this is an important thing for us to think about as we're watching 350 new units go into another new neighborhood. Keeping track of what's happening to existing affordable housing stock is key to figuring out how to preserve that. But I don't feel like we need to tie anything more into this specific review of this transit-oriented redevelopment plan. I think that, if you boil it down to exactly what is within our purview, we have a transit line that goes there. There is no better place in the county to test out a transit-oriented redevelopment plan than when we already have, and the only place we're going to have dedicated transit in the immediate future. So, when I look at it just from that perspective, I think Councilman Mendez kind of summed it up perfectly that, I support this from a land use perspective. I support this from a policy perspective. I do think there are concerns that need to be identified, and I support the need for ongoing discussions at the council level on that.
Commissioner Blackshear.
Well, Vice Chair just made it very easy for me. I think she articulated my analysis perfectly. I do have a question, and I'm not trying to get back into the weeds on this design review committee issue. If that were to be resolved according to the position of MDHA, would this plan change in a way, or could it be likely that this plan changes in a way that we would see it again? Or, I'm trying to figure out, is this premature for us to look at it?
I think that if the city council or MDHA were to entertain changes to the bulk standards, to the UDO standards, I would anticipate that for coming back to us. We always have an opportunity to assess that after a project is reviewed at the Planning Commission. If it changes at council, we look very carefully at that, and we will make a determination at that time whether or not it should come back to us in consultation with the council office. But in this instance, again, with the bulk standards, I think with the DRC committee, I'm not sure that would materially change the type and the scope of issues related to the land uses and the bulk standards. So for that reason, we will look at it at the time, but I would not say today that I know that would mean that it would need to come back.
Thanks, that's all I had.
Commissioner Bichelle.
I really respect what you said, Vice Chair Farr, and I will vote to approve in exactly the way you explained it. Thank you very much.
Councilman.
There you go. I'm going to vote against it because for me the Design Review Committee is extremely important in grounding and deciding what's important in that community. However, much I like the concept and what this will bring to the community in terms of affordable housing and development and very needed jobs as we look into the future. I mean, we know we're doing good now, but we don't know where we'll be in 10 years from now, so we need to continue investing in our future. I just don't think that giving somebody the keys to something and walking away is the right thing to do. So unless I see, and I'm very thankful to the council member that he wants to add people from the community to that committee, but I think it should be even more aggressive. And so I want to see that really changes into a true partnership with the community before I vote yes on this, either here or in the council.
Thank you. Commissioner Moore.
So I think Vice Chair Farr stated it very, very well, and I also agree. I think there are some concerns about the financing, but I do think it is appropriate for that to be hashed out in council. So I'll agree. I'll vote to approve staff's recommendation.
Commissioner Gottlieb.
I'm vote to support it as well. I think that they've done an excellent job of getting us something to begin with. I think this is the logical place to start. It's an area that we can really make a difference, and I feel like budget issues and things like that, which are outside of my lanes to understand, but this concept has worked as redevelopment districts, and I think it's time to move on.
Commissioner Sims.
I think probably I needed to say a couple of things. One is I think it's important to kind of normalize this discussion. This is a discussion that's going on across our nation right now with the historic use of TIF funding and our ability to restructure those conversations. And many people, actually there was a meta-analysis of research that I pulled out, just the findings, that recommended that TIF funding be looked at by all entities to make sure that it is that there's truly accountable goals, that any district has much transparency. It says the information must be transparent. Their citizens must have tools to evaluate the benefits and the trades, and that it needs to have much accountability. The old TIF funding really did have a very limited view with MDHA, and the new legislation still does that. My question, I think, with all of this is we actually are rezoning for a redevelopment district that has three major components by law, and those are the land use, design review, and tax incremental funding, which I don't think is with our purview. But certainly land use and design review are within our purview. And I'm concerned that the design review is not being addressed in a way that offers, as researchers are encouraging us, to much more accountability, much more transparency, and much more openness to community feedback. So I don't want to vote yet, but I just want to keep listening.
Commissioner Haynes.
I agree with Vice Chair Farr. I think this is the right place for the first transit-oriented redevelopment district. I think this is going to actually encourage more affordable housing. I think the statistics show that works here. I am concerned about the gentrification if we don't put something like this in place in this area. And I think the financial discussion is the purview of the council and not this body. So I would move approval of staff's recommendation.
That's a proper motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. Any other discussion? Seeing none. All in favor of the staff's recommendation to approve the amended substitute, right? Is that correct? That's staff's recommendation. Everybody's all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no? Let's, only one no? I think that's what I heard. Two no's? All right, let's raise our hands. All in favor, raise your hand so we get it on film. All right. Opposed, no? All right. Let's see, 1, 2. Yeah, 2 no's. Oh, there's only 2 no's, so it passes. All right, we are on to item. We've only been here an hour and 15 minutes, so I think we can continue to keep going. I thought it would be longer, so we're on item. And before we get there, I just want to thank the council members for coming down and all of the citizens and MDHA on that project. And I really appreciate the staff doing the report really quickly, and it was a really quick turnaround. So I want to thank the team for doing that. All right, 7A and B.
All right, so the next item is item 7A. This is a request to apply a historic landmark overlay district on property at 1431 Shelton Avenue. This is just northeast of Riverside Drive in the Inglewood neighborhood. Staff recommendation is to approve. The current zoning on the property is RS 7.5. This is a large area of that single-family zoning district. The site is also within the Inglewood Place Neighborhood Conservation District, which is a historic overlay district. The land use policy for this area is T4 Urban Neighborhood Maintenance, which is intended to maintain the character of the existing neighborhood. This is an aerial view of the property. As you can see, there's a large single-family home to the rear of the site with a deep setback, surrounded by other single-family residential development. This home was originally known as the Miller House. It's now referred to as Ivy Hall. The Miller House was named for the original resident who had it built, Cleo Miller, who was a prominent citizen in East Nashville. And it was designed by Edwin Keeble, who was a renowned Nashville architect. It's listed on the National Register of Historic Places as a distinctive example of Tudor Revival architecture, and it influenced the design of many of the homes built in this section of the neighborhood. The Metro Historic Zoning Commission has recommended approval of the historic landmark overlay, and protection of this home is consistent with the goals of the neighborhood maintenance policy to maintain the existing character. Therefore, staff recommends approval of the historic landmark overlay. And since these are associated items, I'm actually, if you'd like, going to go ahead and present the neighborhood landmark.
That would be perfect.
Okay. So moving on to the associated item 7B. This is a request to establish a neighborhood landmark overlay district and to approve a neighborhood landmark development plan for the same property. The staff recommendation is to approve establishment of the neighborhood landmark district and approve with conditions the neighborhood landmark development plan. A little bit about the purpose and intent of the neighborhood landmark, since we're also considering a historic landmark at the same time. The neighborhood landmark is intended to preserve and protect neighborhood features that are important to maintain and enhance the neighborhood character. Whereas the historic landmark focuses very much on preservation of the architectural character and features of the building, the neighborhood landmark is more focused on adaptive reuse of the structure to make preservation of the building more economically viable. So the broader range of uses that could be permitted with a neighborhood landmark help provide revenue that can facilitate stewardship of the property. But that happens through a neighborhood landmark development plan, which narrowly tailors those uses and any modifications to the site to ensure that it's compatible with the surrounding neighborhood. This is a multi-part process. The first is establishment of the neighborhood landmark district, and that requires a recommendation from the Planning Commission and a final decision by Metro Council, and that's the step that establishes the significance of the feature itself. And then there's an associated neighborhood landmark development plan, which is a final site plan for the property, including any uses are proposed. And the final decision for the development plan is made by the Planning Commission. So that piece of this does not move on to Metro Council. That decision would be made here. These steps can run in sequence, one after the other, which is how we've seen that happen most recently. But they can also be combined. And in this case, the applicant chose to combine them so that the neighborhood could review the development plan at the same time as they were having community conversations about the significance of the building. So this is the neighborhood landmark development plan for this site. The plan proposes a 1,400 square feet of multimedia production use to accommodate a recording studio that's located in the basement of the existing home. So there's no exterior change to show you where that use is. It's within the existing building. The plan also proposes one detached accessory dwelling unit, which would be located in an existing accessory building at the rear of the site, as well as the other uses that are permitted by the existing RS 7.5 zoning district, including the residential use that's there today. The exterior changes to the site are limited to a small addition to the accessory building in the back, a pergola to be placed on the existing home, and that would be reviewed in detail by the Metro Historic Zoning Commission at the permit process, and also 4 parking spaces to accommodate the visitors associated with the multimedia production use. The plan does require that the site be owner-occupied in order for the multimedia production use to be permitted, so that residential component of the development will be maintained alongside the proposed uses. The building itself meets the criteria outlined in the zoning ordinance for a landmark overlay due to its history and architectural significance in this area. The limited multimedia production and detached accessory dwelling unit uses will provide for economically viable use to support the preservation of the building, and the plan includes conditions to minimize impacts to the neighborhood. The development plan meets all requirements for a development plan laid out in the zoning ordinance, and Metro Historic Zoning Commission has recommended approval with conditions. Therefore, staff recommends approval of the establishment of the Neighborhood Landmark Overlay District and approval with conditions of the Neighborhood Landmark Development Plan, and that condition would just be that it's conditioned upon council approval to establish the district. So open to any questions.
Perfect, thank you. So commissioners, what we're doing is when we open the public hearing, it'll be a public hearing on A and B. We'll vote on them separately, okay, just so everybody knows without objection, we'll do that. So we'll open this item for public hearing. The applicant has 10 minutes, and you can save 2 minutes of the 10 for rebuttal. Welcome. State your name and address. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Josh Gray. I live at 1431 Shelton Avenue, Ivy Hall. We're grateful that the Metro Nashville has crafted the Neighborhood Landmark Overlay to preserve and protect important neighborhood properties. Ivy Hall is historic and associated with the Inglewood Golf Course, architect Edwin Keeble, and beloved Nashville surgeon Cleo Miller. The neighborhood landmark designation is meant to protect the neighborhood character and context by preserving existing neighborhood fabric while permitting reasonable use of a property, and to enhance the neighborhood by providing a strong sense of place. Our proposal for the use exception of a recording studio does just that. Our basement studio requires no alterations to the site, so the property remains residential in character and scale. And it increases the sense of community as small groups of creative people whose mission aligns with the greater aims of Nashville come together to collaborate. Ivy Hall is an inspirational backdrop for such creation. In addition, it's quiet, it's soundproofed, and parking is easily accommodating as we're so far back from the street.
I'm Rachel McCann, and I also live at 1431 Shelton, Ivy Hall. As Councilman Davis said, our closest neighbors are all in support and the larger neighborhood. We have 7 people here today to speak in our support, 5 of whom live either on our street or directly abutting our backyard. And we've assembled 16 letters and 193 signatures on a petition of support. Over 100 of these are from Inglewood itself. Ivy Hall will always need protection. It sat on the market for long periods of time during the last 2 changes of ownership and needed much repair when we moved in. A wonderful byproduct of the application process has been many conversations with our neighbors. A lot of misinformation and conjecture has floated around, and we were glad to have the chance to put people's minds at ease. We have been so pleased to see a number of neighborhood residents change their stance from opposition to support after learning more about our goals. We offer our thanks to our neighbors, to Councilman Anthony Davis and Smith G. Studio, and we thank the commissioners for hearing us today. I'd like to introduce Scott Morton of Smith G., who will give more details. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. My name is Scott Morton. I live at 1005 North 14th Street. The property owners hired us to help them navigate the process of the overlays, given that there's 2 different overlays from a zoning perspective and from Metro Historic perspective. The process can be quite confusing, so we've been helping them facilitate this process. First of all, I want to thank Councilman Davis for his kind words and leadership and support. I want to thank the planning staff for their efforts, the historic staff for their efforts and support and approval, and the community. We've had multiple rounds of community engagement, have been very thoughtful conversations with the community, and I think it has really created a very communal atmosphere around this project. To outline quickly that community engagement process, we began in March of this year by meeting with the Inglewood Neighborhood Association presenting the idea for the property. After that time, the property owners attended subsequent neighborhood meetings after March in May and April. At the last Metro Planning Commission, the case was deferred at the request of the councilman so we could have an additional community meeting to let more people know about the property. And so we decided that it would be great to host it on site, so to invite people to the home and to the property and to tour the home and understand that it is owner occupied and how it will function on a daily basis. That meeting was well attended by immediate neighbors, and many that I thought was great walk there from their homes, and generally well supported throughout that meeting. Subsequently, we were asked by the community to have an additional meeting at another location. We had that last week at the Lytton Community Center, which was also well attended, and we appreciate the neighborhood's input on that as well. Also, Metro Historic has approved the overlay as of last week on the June 20th. After all the community engagement, I think one of the major concerns was that this would establish a precedent for commercial development in the neighborhood. And, we tried very hard to establish with the community that this will not, in fact, set a precedent or a slippery slope, if you will, for other types of uses. This vehicle was set up for properties very just like this, and the reason is to create a revenue stream for the adaptive reuse of the properties. And it is only allowed on very unique properties such as Ivy Hall. And so we want to make it clear that, per the regulations and per the development plan and per staff's review and per Historic's oversight, continued oversight, everything on this property that happens in the future is under the highest level of historic protection and will require the fullest level of review from Historic for any alteration to the property. I want to read just a few things. The staff did a great job of summarizing this, but I want to read a couple things regarding the purpose of the district. And the primary purpose of the district is for the adaptive reuse of neighborhood features within the district for uses the base zoning would not allow, including commercial uses. The broader range of permitted uses incentives the reuse of the features while ensuring that the reuse and/or additions are compatible with the neighborhood. Furthermore, there's a list of criteria that has to be met for this property to be eligible for a neighborhood landmark. The feature has to be a critical component of the neighborhood, context, and structure. The retention of the feature is necessary to preserve and enhance the character of the neighborhood. And the only reason to consider the application of the district is to protect and preserve the identified feature. And it is in the community and neighbors' best interest to allow for consideration of an appropriate development plan and use as a means of preserving the designated feature. The development plan proposes limited multimedia production and the consideration of a accessory dwelling unit, which will generate revenue to support the stewardship and the preservation of the property. The condition that we put in the development plan requiring that the site be owner-occupied to allow for any alternative uses is really important because it will maintain that the residential component to the area is maintained in perpetuity for this use to continue to exist, and it will prevent the site from evolving into a solely commercial use because it is their daily residence at home. I think staff did a great job describing the overall project application, so I'd like to reserve the remaining time I have for rebuttal and questions. We appreciate the support of the council member, the support of the staff, the community, and we would appreciate your support. I thank you very much.
Thank you. You'll have 2 minutes for rebuttal. Appreciate you coming. Anyone in the audience wishing to speak in support? Come on up. And you've got 2 minutes, and state your name and address for the record. Thanks for coming down.
Yes, I'm Leslie Thomas, and I live in 1423 Shelton Avenue, so I'm like 3 doors down from them. I've lived in this neighborhood since 1998, and I very much value my neighborhood. And I'm in support of the Ivy Hall overlay for many reasons. Number one is we feel like it will preserve that beautiful home. It's expensive to maintain that home. And because we feel like it's kind of the Music City, studio. It's a beautiful studio. I also am here speaking for my direct neighbors across the street who were unable to attend tonight, and one on Englewood Circle who was unable to attend tonight. I've got 2 neighbors, 1421 and 1424, who wanted me to be here and represent them and say that they are in support. Also, it's ones that rent their property, 1426, I believe. I don't want to misstate, but they also are in support of it, and they were in opposition before. These are all people I've known for 10 or 12 years. So I just wanted to say that by and large, the people that are right around the home and the houses in the closest proximity, all of us are within, 3 houses down from the home, are in support of it. And, that's all I really wanted to say. So.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in support? Come on up. Appreciate you all coming down.
My name's Julie Howard. I live at 3608 Gulf Street. I live directly behind Ivy Hall. Our backyard is maybe 30 feet from their house. And I just wanted to say I have never heard anything from the house at all as far as music would go, and as far as it being a complaint if anybody would have. We've just never heard anything at all, and I'm in full support for that.
Thank you. Anyone else? Come on up, and if y'all will line up behind the microphone, that way it goes quickly. So everybody line up if you're in support. Appreciate y'all coming down.
My name is Cheryl Bretz, and I was privileged and fortunate enough to live at Ivy Hall for 11 years. And I worked with Dr. Carol Van West in having it put on the National Register of Historic Places. I've been a volunteer, and I was and preservationist in Nashville my whole life. And I started out really being concerned and working hard on projects when they were going to tear down the Ryman and the Union Station. And I was on the mayor's Beautification Environmental Commission for 5 years. So my heart is in it. And I know Rachel McCann has a PhD in architectural history. She's also an architect, and she's a very caring and loving neighbor. She loves all her neighbors. She would do anything for any of them. Josh is a historian and a preservationist, and he cares. And I just feel like this extra protection that's put on this property would be a gift to the neighborhood.
Ma'am, what's your current address?
My current address is 109 Merrimack Drive.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I'd like to thank the commission for coming here to speak. My name is Bruce Howard. I live at 3608 Gulf. My wife was up earlier. We are approximately 35 feet from the back door of this home. It sits on an acre and a half of land, so it has a lot of privacy. I'm about 75 years old, so three things have been pretty consistent in my life that I've noticed so far. Is death, taxes, and change. And I think this would be a change for the better.
Thank you, sir. Come on up.
Hello. My name is Janice Elizondo, and I live next door, I guess 50 feet from Rachel and Josh. I just want to say that I was 24 years ago, I was living on Shelton, and I knew when Cheryl lived there, and she kept the home immaculate. And then it was sold, and I can remember seeing the house with, Great Pyrenees dogs tied in the front yard and door scratches on the inside, and, they let the house go down. And then it's been sold again, and then finally, Rachel and Josh have it. And trying to make this short, they built their, I guess you would say, den. I didn't even know that was being built. And I'm in my backyard all the time. I have dogs, and I'm always outside, and grandkids, and I didn't hear any construction. And then, of course, they built the sound thing downstairs, and I sure didn't hear that. I don't know who else you would want there. I mean, these are great neighbors, and like I said, I've seen it with wonderful neighbors, and I've seen it go down. So it's an asset. It's an asset for all of us, and I just can't imagine anybody other than an architect loving that house. I mean, it's got the round doors, and it's something to see, and she has it immaculate. That's all.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in support? Seeing none, anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Come on up. If y'all will line up in the middle aisle, that'd be great. Welcome. State your name and your address.
Good afternoon. My name is Matthew Bond. I live at 3519 Gulf Street in Inglewood, very close to Ivy Hall. Each of you should have a packet of documents from the neighbors of Inglewood Place. We sent them this morning. I'll be referring to those documents. To say that Ivy Hall meets the criteria of neighborhood landmark overlay is like saying that a billionaire could be called comfortable. This overlay's criteria is so low that many houses in Inglewood would meet them, and compared to the protections provided by the existing neighborhood conservation overlay, this overlay is unnecessary. As Scott Morton just said, the sole reason for a neighborhood landmark overlay was to have Ivy Hall supply a revenue stream for the owners. And if you were in any doubt that that had been the owner's intention for years, then please look at the first 2 pages in the handout. Page 1, a year ago, touts Ivy Hall Studio as 2,000 square feet, almost half the house, of recording and residential space for performers. Page 2 is one performer's fundraising page to pay the fees for recording at Ivy Hall Studio. This commercial use of the property apparently has never had a business license, nor has Ivy Hall Studio ever acknowledged that it is in a city that has ordinances and regulations. In order to convert the basement into a recording studio required construction, wiring, and plumbing. But as you can see from page 3 of the handout, there are no permits for any of the above, and thus presumably no inspections. On pages 4 and 5, you can see a few examples of some of the modifications made to the interior of the house. Down in the basement, they also built a half bath, but I couldn't find a photo of that. The planning department has approved this neighborhood development plan with conditions. But Ivy Hall Studio has not yet respected any of Nashville's existing conditions. You see on pages 6 and 7 that without any permits, it has been a professional operation for almost 2 years. Finally, it was caught. On pages 8 and 9, the Codes Department cites Ivy Hall Studio twice for this unpermitted use, but on page 10, Ivy Hall Studio, you can see, was ignoring codes and continued using the home as a commercial business. The owners of Ivy Hall Studio come to this hearing with unclean hands. After 3 years of ignoring Nashville's laws, they expect you to reward them for this bad behavior. Please do not reward them. Please say no. Thank you.
Welcome.
Ready? I'm Rebecca Freeman. I live at 1304 McChesney. I ask you to reject this application and the development plan. I'm going to talk about a couple of concerns that we have about the house and the applicant's process. The first is fire safety. This old house has a music studio in the basement that's offered for public use. There have been extensive renovations. On a recent studio tour, we did not see any apparent exterior exit from the basement, any emergency exit signs, a sprinkler system, or fire alarms. Shouldn't this structure have been inspected and approved by the fire marshal or codes? To find out about the fire inspection, we contacted the fire department. That department's response, your page 11 in your packet, indicated there are no records associated with the property. Can you risk approval of the use of this property with a promise that the fire department will check it out and get back to you? Another concern we have is where's the business license for this operation? It's not available at the Metro Clerk's website. Maybe they don't need one, but it's a requirement for most music studios. Finally, I want to address the development plan. It's lacking. There are no signage limitations, no limitations on commercial truck traffic, no limitations on operating hours, no limitations on this site becoming an event venue. We've been promised it won't be used for that, but that use is included in special exceptions for historic homes in district land use tables. It needs to be in writing. Where's the proposed development schedule required by ordinance? If you must adopt this measure and this plan, please amend it to make it specific, as specific as you can. Put all of these restrictions in writing in the plan. This overlay will run with the land, so all restrictions need to be made clear to everyone, including future owners. I've lived in this neighborhood since 1951, almost continuously, and I know the house, I know the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Mary Johnston. I've lived at 1310 Howard Avenue for over 30 years, and I would ask you to reject this application. The rejection of commercial activity within our conservation overlay area is not new. A daycare closed since our conservation overlay was put in place. There was discussion of rezoning the property to allow a potential buyer to operate a medical provider office at the location. The neighbors voiced negative reaction to it, and our councilman somehow prevented that from going forward. That commercial intrusion into our neighborhood was stopped without being presented to you for any reason. That building has since been renovated back into a home and listed for over $600,000. We worked hard for our conservation overlay. We do not want this commercial use to be allowed. We don't want this to open a door to commercial activity. The conservation overlay is working. We've had new homes built, and they fit into the character of the neighborhood due to the guidelines of the overlay. The multimedia production is listed in the district land use tables as a communication use. That use is not allowed under any residential type land use district. It is certainly allowed in other places, in other zoning districts, so Music City will certainly continue, but it needs to happen in the proper areas. The process of the neighborhood landmark district and the development plan is being misused here to do an end run around the current land use district. It feels to me like spot zoning, and that is a very wrong precedent. The owners say that they need to finance the cost of maintaining the home. That's not a good reason to alter the types of allowed uses in the neighborhood. If this use is going to be allowed, thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? Seeing none, 2 minutes for rebuttal.
Thank you very much. Regarding the comment about the appropriateness of this property and the uniqueness of how it is able to be eligible for the neighborhood landmark, I would defer Robin Ziegler, who was able to attend and speak at our last community meeting for Metro Historic, can help answer any of those questions relative to the appropriateness on this particular site. In regards to the history on this site, the homeowners in 2017 had the desire to build a personal recording studio in their basement. They did. They built the recording studio and they operated it in their studio. They saw an opportunity for other friends and other musicians to begin to use the studio. They received a notice by codes that said they were in violation of codes by operating a commercial business. Ever since they were first notified by codes, they've done everything to make this right by Metro. It was not their understanding that they were in violation of anything. They are done everything that they can to make sure that they've meet all applicable codes and zoning that is required for the site. They really want to make this be appropriate for the neighborhood, be very respectful to the neighbors as well, and not a nuisance in any way, shape, or form. And in fact, the commercial use of the recording studio is what is specifically talked about for the Landmark Overlay District to ensure is the vehicle to ensure a revenue stream for this property and the continual maintenance. And I think there was a question about egress as well. I just want to confirm that there are 2 points of egress on the site, and they're happy to do anything they need to do to make that code compliant. And again, in closing, I appreciate the councilman's support. I appreciate the planning staff support, and I hope to get your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no one else wishing to speak, declare the public hearing closed. Commissioner Haynes, you want to go first?
Sit out since I missed the presentation.
You're going to sit out. Commissioner Sims.
There are some serious concerns from the neighborhoods in terms of some of this not being in compliance to a lot of the regulations here, and we have no records that they were actually met. Somebody came back and fixed all these problems. Do we have anything like that?
Are you specifically asking about just the permit question as far as the?
Well, I'm specifically asking about the ones that came through codes and building safety issues, but we have no records that those were actually fixed, and those are pretty serious issues here.
Absolutely, and they will not be able to get a use and occupancy permit without verifying that all of that is approved by codes and relevant to building code standards.
But we have nothing for our records right now to say that that was fixed.
Not as of yet, but we can't, if this is approved and moves forward, they won't be able to occupy it as a use without codes approval.
Right, okay. Let me listen to what everybody else is saying.
Sean, clarification for Commissioner Sims?
I just was going to clarify that the development plan is a final site plan, but they will need definitely a use and occupancy permit. And as part of that process, the codes department will check against this development plan that they have all of the other sort of building safety types of permits that they need before they can actually proceed with using the property in this manner.
Thank you for the clarification. Commissioner Gobble?
Quick question. So this is, they're asking to put a recording studio or a multimedia studio in this, but that's all that this would approve. There's no other functions that could be done commercially.
So the uses that are proposed in this development plan would be the multimedia production use, the recording studio, a detached accessory dwelling unit, and then otherwise the uses permitted by their existing RS 7.5 zoning district. So there are no other non-residential uses proposed.
Basically, I think this concept worked very well. I actually looked at this property at one point in time when it was on the market, drove by it and said I couldn't afford to maintain it. So, I mean, this is what this concept's about. It's historically, it is a significant structure. It's worth saving, and finding some economic viability is the best way to save something in a location like this. So I support it.
Commissioner Moore.
I think my questions were answered about the certain codes and everything. If this is approved, I think that this is a unique piece of property. I don't think this would necessarily be approved somewhere else. And I think it has historic stamp of approval, so I'm inclined to support it.
Councilman?
No comment.
Commissioner Michelle?
I think this is the perfect use of the landmark overlay, and I think they've done a lot of work in the neighborhood to talk through all the issues. I think by going through this process, they're trying to become compliant with the permits, and I fully support this. I think that we should encourage this type of thing, and I think it's good for Music City.
Commissioner Blackshear?
Actually torn on this one. I definitely understand the logic of the overlay and needing an ability to basically continuing to finance living in such a nice property. But I do understand the neighbors' concerns about having a commercial use there. And even though I think everyone agrees that the neighbors who currently have the home are operating it in a responsible way, if they were to leave the home, it's still going to be a recording studio, right? I mean, the commercial use, once allowed, it's going to be allowed at that home forever, right?
So once the development plan is approved, the uses as outlined in that development plan would be permitted even if it transfers ownership. Now, any conditions of that development plan, whether written into the plan or recommended by this body in addition to what's on the plan, would also carry through. So someone would not be able to do a different commercial use or even to do the same commercial use under different conditions without first coming to a public hearing with the Planning Commission to make those amendments.
So, I mean, it sounds like what the neighbors are doing now works as far as not disturbing those surrounding them. But if you added on conditions like the amount of time people could be there, I mean, I'm not a musician, but I suppose recording studios operate all the time. That's kind of their thing. Musicians don't have standard 9 to 5 hours. So if you put enough conditions on it, it almost seems like it wouldn't even be able to be used effectively as a recording studio. I don't know. I mean, I hate to say that this should not go through because the neighbors who are doing it now, I think, are doing a great job with it. But if I lived there, I would definitely be concerned. If I lived in a home that surrounds the property, I would be concerned that once this property is sold, then, chaos could erupt. So. Well, wouldn't I mean, it's a recording studio, so you never know. I mean, some musicians are nice, some musicians are kind of crazy, so.
Vice Chair?
The apocalypse is coming. I think kind of following along on some of those questions, I guess for you, Sean, did we talk at all about some of the other items that the neighbor suggested, like operating hours and limits on signage or truck delivery or things like that? I don't.
So those particular issues were not explicitly addressed in the plan. They would certainly be something that you could ask the applicant about their sort of operational characteristics. Staff's recommendation was based on the fact that it does have to be owner-occupied, which we felt maintained sort of an important residential component and also some sort of personal investment in it not being too disruptive. And that, it has to meet all the metro standards for noise and that the parking is provided on site. So those were the sort of factors that led to our recommendation. But certainly if you wanted to consider issues beyond that, the applicant could probably speak with more authority on what their operational needs are.
Okay. I mean, I'm struggling with this one too, just because I remember disapproving another music studio not that long ago in a neighborhood, and I think Mr. G was on there with us when we had to go through that discussion. It wasn't a historic property. It didn't have the ability to be a historic property, and so we couldn't approve it. It was a commercial business in a residential neighborhood, and we said that's not the right thing. It's the same kind of discussion where he had one person who maybe came in and used his house as the recording studio, wasn't going to have a lot of extra traffic. So I struggle a little bit, even though I do agree that this is the perfect location to have the neighborhood landmark overlay, to use it. That's the way to preserve this property. I hate to think about 3 homes going placed somehow in front of that. It doesn't seem like it could happen, but, in this world, anything is possible. But I do struggle with, not necessarily that we're setting a precedent, because I understand this is a unique situation, but it's like, are we going, if we want commercial uses, home-based businesses in residential neighborhoods, I still think that's the conversation we need to have instead of having it one property at a time. That said, the neighbors are doing everything correctly, and it's great to see that the street has embraced this project and is supportive of it. I guess Lillian's concerns, we saw recently with another one of these that came back with a transfer of ownership, how, the use does go forward and there are issues when it does transfer ownership. And I just think we need to think about, we have great neighbors that are doing this now, but 5 years from now, it could be a totally different set of people that were doing it. And do we really feel like this is the best spot to allow and the best way to preserve this property by allowing a multimedia studio to remain there? I don't know. I have no answers, and I don't have the, I don't fully know which way I fall.
So we'll need a motion. Is there, Commissioner, I'd like to make a motion. One at a time. Any questions?
We're going to do them separately, right?
Yes, so the first is on 7A.
I move to accept staff recommendation on item 7A.
That's a
second.
Proper motion and second. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of 7A, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no? Let's just do a show of hands. Is there only one no? Commissioner Blackshear's one no. All right. Now we need a motion for and that item is approved. With one, and there was only one no, Commissioner Blackshear. Just for the record. We need a motion for 7B.
I move approval of 7B.
That's a proper motion. Is there a second? Second. Any other discussion on 7B? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. All right. So all in favor, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ayes. And all the noes, raise your hand. 3 noes. Passes. All right. We are about 2 hours into our meeting, guys. So we should, it's probably time for a small break after being, if everybody, commissioners, is that okay? Y'all feel? All right, we'll take a quick 10-minute break, and we'll be back, and we'll be on item 10, A and B. Let's take a break very much, and so we are now on item 10A and 10B. We'll handle this item. We'll present A and B, and then we'll vote on them separately without objection from the commission. So 10A and B. Thank you.
Good evening, Marty Sewell with
Your mic's not on.
I think I accidentally turned it off. Let me go back here. Okay, let me start over. Marty Sewell with Community Design Division. Item 10A is a request to amend the Donaldson Hermitage Old Hickory Community Plan at the intersection of Robertson Road and Industrial Drive. This case is associated, like the Chairman said, with the zoning case that'll follow. The request is to change the policy of the parcel shown here from District Industrial to Suburban Evolving. And the staff recommendation is to approve, even though I flipped through that too quickly. The associated rezoning case seeks to amend an existing SP to permit 300 multifamily residential units. Note that the rezoning area shown here on the rezoning map includes area in excess of what we're talking about for the plan amendment. Get this off the screen. The site is currently zoned SP for mixed use, that allowing for commercial and industrial. The industrial IWD to the north, northeast, and northwest, and you've got the RM20 and SP mixed use on the south of Industrial Drive, and then of course R10 across Robinson Road in the residential area. From the growth and preservation concept map, you can see that the site is identified with a mixture of transition along the corridor. And then also in the back, the gray color is the special impact. The site forms a transition in terms of policy from the mixed-use center policy at the intersection of Industrial and Robinson to the largely industrial area to the northeast. This includes the neighborhood evolving area where the Old Hickory Towers is located. That's the senior housing tower. Then you also have the T3 Community Center policy at the intersection and transition across Robinson. The proposed suburban neighborhood evolving policy is intended to enhance and create suburban residential neighborhoods with more housing choices and complete streets. And the existence of and also to maintain and enhance, to strategically locate the location of the industrial. Skipped over a slide here, apologize there. Neighborhood evolving, the intent is to create the suburban residential with neighborhoods and more housing choices. The characteristics that we would include when looking at whether or not we would apply this policy is the high proportion of vacant land, the proximity to evolving centers and corridors. In our case here, of course, we have a vacant property, and we are at the intersection of two major corridors. Characteristics include the moderate density development patterns with residential and institutional uses, moderate setbacks, complete streets, and moderate to high connectivity. Rationale for why this would work is neighborhood evolving. The fact that it is a large area of vacant land with access to arterials and collectors, it provides a different housing type to allow for aging in place, and in this case, a different housing type to what's currently in the community. This shows the generalized land use for the area, and you can see we're talking about the green and areas, the vacant property, and then their parking use is on the property in gray. But certainly the colors here, you've got the darker color orange for the two-family and then the yellow for a single family. So it's predominantly 1- and 2-family residential options. This would provide an opportunity for additional residential options. We had a community meeting on June 8th that was attended by the district council member, the development team, and staff, along with 15 residents or stakeholders. And they had the opportunity to provide input there at the meeting and also with input by email and comment forms. The attendees generally expressed support for the plan amendment, although they did share some concerns about how the new traffic generated would interact with the industrial traffic, and also how the existing businesses might be perceived by the community, the new residents, as they move into the residential area adjacent. Given its proximity to Arterial Boulevard, like Robinson Road, one express bus route with the stop serving the area and the adjacent T3 Community Center policy to the west, and the evolving neighborhoods to the southeast and southwest, the proposed amendment would be a suitable location for T3 suburban neighborhood evolving to encourage a range of housing options and a walkable environment and to support mass transit, future businesses, and daily goods and services. Staff recommends approval.
Excellent. We'll open this item for public hearing. Oh, nope, sorry. We'll wait a second. Take that back. 10B. That was 10A, now 10B.
The next item on the agenda is item 10B. This is a request to amend the existing SP to permit 300 multifamily residential units. Staff recommendation is to approve with conditions and disapprove without all conditions, subject to approval of the associated plan amendment. If the associated plan amendment is not approved, staff recommends disapproval. The site is located at the intersection of Robinson Road and Industrial Drive within the Old Hickory community. Existing conditions include vacant industrial land and a commercial parking lot. Nearby land uses include single-family residential, multifamily residential in the form of a retirement community immediately to the south, as well as industrial uses. The site is zoned specific plan mixed use. Nearby zoning districts include multifamily residential RM20, two-family residential in the form of R10, and IWD industrial warehousing and distribution zoning districts. The site is located in the Conservation, District Industrial, and T3 Suburban Community Center policy areas. Metro Council approved the original SP for this site in 2012 to permit a mixed-use development that consists of commercial and industrial land uses. The purpose of this application is to change the layout of the site plan, remove non-residential uses, and permit 300 multifamily residential units. This proposal includes 300 multifamily residential units in the form of 226 attached townhomes located in the orange color and 74 attached villas located in the red. The site is accessed from a private drive that is located off of Robinson Road. A network of private sidewalks is included on the site plan, which will provide a pedestrian connection from each unit to new public sidewalks along Industrial Drive and Robinson Road, as well as to on-site amenity areas. Villas orient to existing public roads or propose open space along the perimeter of the site and are attached in pairs. Open space areas include an amenity center with a pool and areas for stormwater mitigation. A significant landscape buffer is located toward the eastern portion of the site to screen a nearby industrial use. This plan also includes off-site sidewalk improvements at the intersection of Robinson Road and Industrial Drive. The proposed SP amendment is consistent with the T3 Suburban Community Center and proposed T3 Suburban Neighborhood Evolving Policy areas. This plan will provide an additional housing choice and improve the sidewalk network within the immediate area. Also, the proposal will serve as an appropriate transition between nearby industrial and residential land uses. For these reasons, staff recommendation is to approve with conditions and disapprove without all conditions, subject to approval of the associated plan amendment. If the associated plan amendment is not approved, staff recommends disapproval.
Thank you, sir. We'll go ahead and open this item for public hearing. And generally, council, I want to ask you how you want to handle this, but we generally would allow the applicant to go, and then if you would like to speak either after that and then at the end, or applicant, why don't we have the applicant come on up, and you have 10 minutes, and you can save 2 minutes of the 10 for rebuttal. Welcome.
Thank you, Chairman, and I won't use the 10 minutes.
And state your name and address first.
Bill Hostetler with Craighead Development. I reside at 3504 Abbott Barton Road. I've been in the development business in Nashville close to 40 years. I know I don't look that old, but I am. And this is Bill Hawkins, who owns the property, brought this to me probably a year ago and said he'd been trying to sell it as industrial for 30 years, and Bill is one of the largest industrial guys in Nashville, and he couldn't find any takers, and said, would it work for residential? I had my sales manager look at it, and he proved to me that there's a demand out there for these homes. I'd say 50% of them are like $190,000. There'll be another 25% at $230,000, which are 3-bedroom, 2.5 baths. And then the villas with the 2-car garages will retail for about $260,000. We've had I had 2 neighborhood meetings I attended, and the first one wasn't announced. It was the councilman's normal Saturday morning meeting he asked me to come to, and we presented, and I didn't think we had any opposition. Then we did your required mailing, and I didn't think we had any opposition. And tonight I find out the industrial guys are in opposition to it. But if you look at the drawing and to the right there where the industrial property is, we have the largest landscape buffer in your book designed there. So I'm here. If they'd like us to change something to help them, we'd like to talk to them. But that's all. I'll save my 8 minutes.
Thank you, sir. You're 2 minutes. I really appreciate you guys coming down. Councilman, you want to go next?
Sure. Thank y'all for allowing me to speak about this project and being here today. I'm Larry Hager. I'm District 11 council member. As Mr. Hostetler said, this is a piece of property that's been there for 30 years. It's been vacant. It's never been developed. It is zoned, it has an industrial PUD on it, which was supposed to be for some type of IWD warehousing and things of that nature, and it's never went anywhere. So, Mr. Hostetler came to me. I said, well, I've got a meeting coming up Saturday morning about another issue. Come on up there. we'll see what everybody says. I like to get a prelude of how everybody feels in the community about something. So he came up there, they looked at it, and he's right. The biggest concern they had was traffic, and we talked about that. And then we followed up and went through the legal motions of giving everybody notice, had another meeting. And of course, the community, they're all for more housing in that area. If you've been through Old Hickory, of course, we just finished our 100 centennial, which was great. Old Hickory's 100 years old now. And density was something that everybody talked about, because when you go through Old Hickory, we don't have a lot of businesses through there. And one of the reasons for that is we don't have density. You know, to draw more businesses to the area, you got to have some density also. And if you look at this map and the way this is set up, you've got the Old Hickory Towers across the street from this development. You also have on the corner property, that's an SP MU property over there, which is a mixed-use commercial, and then condos, townhouses behind there as well. So when you look at this, yes, we do back up to some industrial areas, but the main concern of everybody was just to do a buffer. Now, some of the gentlemen that are here today that had some objection to it were concerned about their industrial property and trucks and things of that nature coming in and out there at night and all during the day. Well, I told him, I said, well, you're zoned industrial, so you'll be able to continue your business just like it is. And that's my phone's ringing. I'm sorry. Cut that off. Sorry about that. So I told him, I said, you'll be able to continue your business just like you always have, because you're zoned industrial. That's not going to change anything. But as Mr. Hofstiller said, he'll put the heaviest buffer zone that he can back there to protect the residents from that. The other complaint I got today was from Nashville Eastern Railroad. I talked to the vice president or president, and he was concerned about his rail spur back there in the back. And he does transfer of goods back there at that rail spur. I indicated to him that his rail spur and his railroad line already go through neighborhoods in Old Hickory. He was concerned about children getting back there or things of that nature, because he's about 400 feet from this development. But in that back part back there, as you see in the northeastern area, you go about 500 feet to get to that rail spur. There's going to be a buffer there, and there may be some fencing there too, and that's also where there's proposal for the swimming pool, and also he's talked about possibly putting the dog park back there, correct?
Absolutely.
Correct. So that area back there creates another buffer zone with all that back there. So you know, I think that, you know, we're still going to have industrial back there, and it's going to stay that way. But at this point in time, I think what the people of Old Hickory want is some more density to attract more businesses to that area. And people love Old Hickory, and they want to come out there. And Mr. Hofstadter presented the SP to me, and the community has, the only thing they voiced about is the traffic. And he's paid for a traffic impact study, and we're looking at that as well. And all those will be addressed as well. So I'd appreciate y'all approving this plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Appreciate you coming down. Anyone in the audience wishing to speak in support? Anyone wishing to, seeing none, anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Come on up. You can, and if y'all will just line up, that'd be great. Everyone will have 2 minutes, and please state your name and your address. Thank you for coming.
Hello, my name is Ron Wise. I live at 1305 Riverside Road in Old Hickory, and my business is Wise Manufacturing, which is immediately to the right of this development. There are 4 owners of property that adjoin this property that are all zoned industrial. There are 6 businesses in these 4 properties, and 5 of them are either manufacturing or in warehouse distribution. So we are definitely industrial in an industrial zoned area. Old Hickory has been a heavily industrial area for many, many years. As Congressman just pointed out, we celebrated our 100th anniversary at the beginning of this month. But this development is bringing in 300 people who are going to be directly adjacent to these industrial uses. There's going to be noises, there's going to be odors, there's going to be heavy traffic. We have rail service in there. If you've ever heard two rail cars joined together in the middle of the night, you think someone's killed you. So there's a lot of reasons that probably residents are not going to like living next to this industrial area here. I have some specific points that I have concerns about this development. One, at the height of the property, they've designated a wetlands. I've always known water to run downhill. I don't know how the most elevated point on the property can be designated a wetlands, and it goes into my neighbor's property. The traffic will ingress and egress across a private road, which I'm partially responsible for the maintenance of. How will the water usage affect my sprinkler systems? And where's the stormwater going? There's a really bad drainage ditch along Robinson Road, and it is going to empty into that drainage ditch.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Welcome.
Thank you. Robert Stewart, I live at 813 Betty Drive, and I'm the warehouse operations manager for 931 Industrial Drive, which is adjacent to this. That's Dealer's Warehouse. We run multiple semi-trucks every day, like every other business there. I start as early as 4. I can't anticipate people wanting to live in that field, and I think that the plan in general isn't keeping with the character of Old Hickory. If you were to go through that community, you would see small homes filled with small families and enough room to move around. That plan doesn't seem to keep with the character of the neighborhood and is in a terrible location to live either way. The road on the left here, as I'm looking at it, used to be private use only, and you could close it off. I don't know what the plan is for that, but it's only about 1.5 lanes wide at the most. And across Old Hickory Boulevard there's about a 6-foot ditch that I routinely see cars in at least once a week. I don't know if there's a sidewalk plan, another traffic light, but as it sits now, that's a high speed. That's the highest speed on Old Hickory Boulevard, and it's terrible traffic and lots of rear-end collisions. And like I said, I see people in that ditch all the time. I don't support this, and I hope other people feel the same way. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. Come on up.
My name is Faith Shire, and I also live at 813 Betty Drive. The property that they want to build on is directly across from where my husband and I live. To get out of our neighborhood, there is one traffic light, and in the morning, the traffic is so aggressive, people just run that light all the time. So it's almost impossible to make a left turn there. You have to wait and make sure no one runs it before you leave. So I'm just concerned about the traffic and the crime. I never see police officers in our area, so I know apartments could bring in crime, so I'm kind of worried about our neighborhood. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Welcome.
Hello, my name is Ricky Wallace. I'm representing 935 Industrial Drive, which is directly behind this development or this potential development. I'm neighbors with Ron Wise, Wise Industries. While I think this development is great somewhere, I think it's terrible where it's at. We're asking to put 300 families in the middle of an industrial area. My company alone, we're a trucking company. We're 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and we are directly adjacent to this property. We actually share the expense of the road with Ron. We're owners of that private road. My company alone runs 100 trucks a day in and out of there, 75 to 100 a day, 24 hours a day. We're looking to even expand that. I was told as recently as about noon today that the railroad is going to do even a bigger project than what we have, or what we're doing now, what we're looking at doing. I don't think it's a good idea to take 300 families with children. We all know children don't always play where they're supposed to play, and put them that close to danger on a daily basis. And that's exactly what we're going to have. Again, the development would be great for Old Hickory somewhere, not where it's at. It would not be a good idea where it's at. I hope you all will take the time to really think about this and look at it. I think you'll see that it's probably not the place for it. I appreciate your time, and I hope that you'll give it some serious consideration, because it's not in a good location. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Come on up. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Brett Harvey from the Nashville Eastern Railroad, and our address is 514 Knoxville Avenue. We're not really disapproval or asking for approval or disapproval, but we would like to just diplomatically express our concerns as to Old Hickory Boulevard is here, industrial's here, we have a railroad crossing here that with traffic now it's backed up over the, and we constantly avoid the traffic and collisions every day. We have two major transflows that are transflowing off of the cars to truck in the yard now that is booming, and we just purchased 25 acres, and we're building a third transflow that's going to be really, and the business and the traffic out there in the next 1 to 3 years is going to triple. As far as that concerned, we're concerned with that. We're going to have the odors of cars. We're going to have the couplings of cars, loud cars, and with the expanded business, this is going to be possible 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We never know. And with our major concern is the children. Kids love trains. They like rail cars. They like to paint them. They like to hang out. They take pictures. They love the tracks. That's our concerns should anything happen down the road, if this is approved or not approved. We want to make it known for the record that, hey, we are concerned about the safety of the public and the children for rail cars, traffic, train traffic. And you can't always move a train to clear traffic. We've had that problem with the elderly place on the end, getting out of their way for rescue attention. But that is our concerns, whether it's approved or disapproved. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? Seeing none, the applicant has 2 minutes, and then, Councilman, you can speak after that.
I'm still Bill. They keep talking about children, and I think I've built close to 2,000 of this unit type in Davidson County. I just finished 98 2 years ago in the Nations with a warehouse behind it. We sold all 98 units without ever putting a sign up. They were so popular. And I will check, but if there's 2 children in those 98 units, I'll donate some money to charity, because we don't, these are, 70% of my buyers are single females from 25 to 35. When they do get married, they usually sell their condo and move on. And I just don't have a lot of children in my condominium and townhomes that I've built in Davidson County. And that's all I think. Bill Hawkins wanted to share some thoughts anyway. Thank you. Or Donna.
Just wanted to respond to some of the comments about traffic. A traffic impact study has been submitted and reviewed. Stormwater issues, we've done preliminary analysis. Of course, we'll comply with the stormwater ordinance, but their preliminary analysis includes bioretention and detention on the property. And I think we'll also comply with all the metro agency requirements for this development. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Councilman?
Just real quick, they talked about this road in the back, and as I understand, they all contribute to the expense of that road, and I believe there is a proposal to widen that road down there by Robinson Road. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, at the entrance, yes.
Right, so they're going to widen that road and pay for that. The other thing is, My grandparents lived in Jacksonville, Florida, and they lived right next door to the biggest overnight transportation warehouse in Jacksonville, Florida. And I remember as a kid staying there with my grandparents. The lights would be on all night, trucks would be in there in and out all night, but you got used to it. I used to live on Donaldson Pike. I had planes flying over every 25 minutes, 20 minutes when I lived on Donaldson Pike. You got used to it because you moved to it. So if you move to it, buyer beware. You're there, you know what's coming in and out of there. But I think with the buffer zone that they're proposing, it's not going to be as dramatic as they think it is. In addition, as far as the railroad is concerned, this railroad goes behind a lot of houses in Old Hickory where people do have children. So that railroad already goes back through Old Hickory Village. It goes across Robinson Road and then goes down into Lakewood. It also is close to the Rayon City residential area too, as well as Hoffman Transportation abuts the Rayon residential neighborhood as well. I've never heard any problems. I asked the gentleman with Nashville Eastern Railroad, I said, do you have any problems with any children over there? No. He said, we're just looking at the potential for problems. I said, well, you got no trespassing signs up there? Yes. I said, well, if they put the buffer zone in and the fencing in there, I don't think there should be any problems. But as Mr. Hofstadler said, most of these people will not have a lot of children, and they have all the amenities that I think a child would want to grow up around anyway. So I'd appreciate y'all approving this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Seeing no one else wishing to speak, we declare the public hearing closed. And Commissioner Bichelle, you want to go first?
Sure. I don't have a whole lot to say about it. I do, I guess I want to understand a little bit. The reason that the people who have the industrial businesses over there are concerned, I'm thinking also, is because they may be worried that we're going to, in the future, try to rezone their properties because it's going to be close to residences. So I just kind of want to know a little bit about that process, if you could talk about that. So what is the chance that this new residential unit going in is going to force a change in the zoning on the industrial properties adjacent?
Our director can answer.
So if you pull up the policy map, I mean, we look at each, thank you. So we look at each project based on its own merits and context. And in this instance, the policy would continue to support the industrial uses there. So if some of the industrial users, as you're imagining, might be concerned about that, we'd have to go through a public process to change not only the policy, but the zoning. And so there is a public process, and the policy today supports those uses. So I think there would be a high threshold there for revisiting the zoning and entitlements for the existing industrial uses.
So in that case, for me, I think it's very nice that they're concerned that the future residents might be impacted by their businesses, but those residents will be moving there with eyes wide open. So I'm inclined to support it.
Councilman? Commissioner Moore?
I think I'm feeling a little less torn. At first I was a bit torn, not so much about the policy change, because I think this location makes sense for a transition area. I will say at first glance, looking at the SP, I thought, wow, that looks dense for this area. But I'm inclined to support both A and B.
Mr. Gobble?
I'm inclined to support it as well, but I would appreciate, didn't we have some aerials that show the area around it a little bit more? So it actually, there is, the property doesn't actually touch the railroad. There's another property in between that and the railroad. And then there's residential across the street in that tower. Is that right? when they're talking about a private road or something, where is that?
So you can see the subject property is outlined in red. So where the cursor is located, this is the private road. And so the applicant, the owner currently of the subject property owns a portion that intersects with Robinson Road. And then there's another property owner who owns a parcel back here, owns the back half portion of that private drive.
So that will remain a private drive, but the new owners are, if it's condo, an HOA will be maintaining part of that road,
That is correct.
My understanding? I'm inclined to support the staff's recommendations on this.
Mr. Sands?
Councilman Hager, thank you so much for trying to lead this conversation for us. We need infill like this so badly in this kind of housing, and I think this is a great use of infill, so I'm supportive.
Vice Chair?
I do see some of the concerns with putting this much housing in the middle of a lot of existing industrial use, but it's a huge wide open space, and I think with the buffers proposed and some of the surrounding residential that already exists in the area, I can see the rationale for it. So I will go ahead and move approval of item 10A, the plan change.
That's a proper motion, and the reminders to the commissioners, it will need to have 6 affirmative votes for that to pass, just procedurally. So that's a proper motion.
Second.
Second. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of 10A, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And 10A is approved. 10B will need a motion.
Make a motion to approve item 10B, staff recommendation with all conditions.
That's a proper motion. Is there a second? There's been a second. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, and 10B is adopted. Now we are on to item 13.
All right, the next item is item 13. This is a request for...
Hold on one second. Everybody could close the door in the back. There we go. All right, go ahead.
All right, so this is a request for a specific plan zoning to permit a mixed-use development on various properties outlined in red on the south side of Ben Allen Road, totaling about 38 acres. For some reference points, this is Dickerson Pike, Ellington Parkway, and Hart Lane south of the site. Staff recommendation is to disapprove. The current zoning on the property is RS10 for single family. As you can see, there's a large area of that single family zoning district here. Other zonings in the area include a large specific plan zoning to the northeast. That is for a mixed use development. The adjacent residential PUD that you see is for multifamily residential, and there is some commercial zoning to the west along Dickerson Pike. On the policy slide, the parcels included in this request are now hatched in black rather than outlined in red because we have a supplemental policy on the slide as well. The green color that you see represents conservation policy, which identifies a steep hill that occupies the majority of the eastern half of the site. As you can also see, we change from sort of the purple color to the green. That marks a transition between the T3 suburban transect on the eastern half of the site and the T4 urban transect on the western half of the site. On the T4 urban side, we have neighborhood evolving policy, which calls for residential development with an urban form and high levels of connectivity. On the T3 suburban side of the site, outside of the conservation policy, we have some areas of T3 neighborhood center policy along the Ben Allen Road frontage and at the top of the hill. And that policy is intended to support commercial and service uses that serve the surrounding neighborhoods. As well, in the remaining pockets of the site not in conservation, T3 neighborhood evolving. And when neighborhood evolving is applied near large and contiguous areas of conservation or sensitive environmental features, it's intended to provide for more creative development patterns that cluster development outside of those sensitive areas. Additionally, the red line that sort of runs down the center of the site marks the edge of a trail-oriented development supplemental policy, and that provides some additional guidance to encourage active forms of transportation in this area. This is the site plan for the property. So as a reminder, the T3, T4 suburban-urban dividing line runs through the center of the site, approximately where you see Road A, kind of running north-south. And then we do have the trail-oriented development goals more towards the eastern and southern portions of the property. So the plan includes 70 single-family lots arranged along private streets, as well as 73 multifamily residential units in the form of townhomes, and those are in the western corner of the plan with a few along Ben Allen Road. There is a 6,500 square foot daycare along the Ben Allen Road frontage, and an additional 13,500 square feet of other non-residential uses, some depicted in building footprints on the plan, some reserved for future development. All of the roads in this proposal are private. They are proposed at a narrower section than would be typical for a local public road in the county. They're 20 to 24 feet wide with a sidewalk on one side. There are also alleys serving the townhome units in the southwest corner, including an alley connection to an adjacent SP that is currently under construction to the west. And there is a greenway proposed along the Ben Allen Road frontage, a public greenway, lining up with the trail-oriented development supplemental policy, which is intended to encourage trails and other forms of movement. The unit, as well as a significant community open space located at the top of the hill, that shaded green area. The use mix and the unit types are generally appropriate given the underlying policies. We do have multifamily with alleys in a more urban form in the T4 part of the site and larger front-loaded suburban residential lots in the T3. The open space areas at the top of the hill are also appropriate given the conservation policy there. And we do have trails running along the frontage up the hill throughout the site consistent with the supplemental policy, all of which could be amenities for this development and the surrounding communities. This is the plan overlaid on a slope map. So the blue shading represents slopes of 15 to 20%, the yellow 20 to 25, and the red 25% or greater. As you can see, this is a very challenging site due to the amount of slope on this property. And the amount of disturbance that would be necessary in these slopes is significant. 65 of the 73 single-family lots proposed in this plan, or about 90%, are designated critical lots because they contain slopes of 20% or greater. There are narrower road sections proposed, and that's intended to minimize the disturbance in those areas of steep slopes. But that also makes the roads private, which runs counter to some of the goals of the T4 policy to have high levels of public connectivity. Additionally, the slope is going to make construction of trails to the top of the hill, as well as that road to the top of the hill, challenging, and may limit the accessibility of those, therefore sort of minimizing the ability of that open space to serve the general public. So while the specific plan does include a mix of housing types and uses that are consistent with the goals of the policy, and the open space, if it can be managed for public access, could be a significant amenity. The plan also places a significant amount of conventional suburban development on a very steep site in areas of conservation policy. The plan also currently lacks a recommendation of approval from the Public Works Department. So given the amount of disturbance in the steep slopes and that lack of recommendation from Public Works, staff is recommending disapproval.
Thank you very much. We'll open this item for public hearing. Is the applicant in the room? The applicant? And Council, we'll let you speak anytime. Just out of respect to the council, we always try to make it so y'all have plenty of time to speak. Welcome. You have 10 minutes, and you can save 2 minutes of the 10 for rebuttal. Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Jay Fulmer, 2002 Richard Jones Road. I've been working with Ron Bryce and Dick King on this property for about a year now, and they've owned it for about 4. And we've gone through many concepts on it and trying to figure out how we can redevelop it or develop it with a sensitivity to the hill. And so one thing that I want to encourage you to think is, while it looks like there's large white lots at the top of the hill that have disturbance that could impact the hill, those are larger lots that will just have one single family home on them. And with the smaller road section, the intent's to build, to have architecture designed for each lot that'll build into the hill versus just clearing the hill. We've gone through many concepts and grading plans to make sure that we've got the most efficient use. And the roadway at the bottom, Road A, is where the more dense lots are at the bottom of the hill, where we're able to minimize the disturbance. We have actually gotten the recommendation, but it was late. It was after the staff report from Public Works from the traffic engineering side. We agree with their concerns and their comments, so we're not worried about having any unknown comments from them, but it did come very late. It was, and that's to no fault of theirs, and so we are on board with them. And we also did have wonderful feedback from a neighborhood meeting. We presented this about a month ago and had overwhelming support, primarily because of the density. And so the density count is similar to that of an R6 development or subdivision. And so everybody was very excited that we weren't coming in trying to build multi-story, multifamily buildings, that it was more of a townhome and single-family development. So thank you all for considering this. We greatly appreciate your attention to it. And we'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. And you'll have 2 minutes for rebuttal. And oh, I'm sorry. Come on up. Come on up. Getting ahead of myself.
Good evening.
Welcome.
Commissioners. I'm Ron Bryce. I own the property with my partner, Richard King. We've been looking at this project for 3-4 years, thanking all the planning staff and all their time they spent on this. It's a passion project for both of us, a legacy project. We've tried time and time again to lay it out in an appropriate way that conserves and preserves the views and the hill. I think our neighborhood and our community are on board with this thing. I can only say that as we continue forward, whatever happens here today, we're going to continue to move forward in the same passionate way we have been, trying to do this right and leave something special for the city of Nashville and share the hill with everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll save 2 minutes for your rebuttal. Council Lady, welcome again.
Thank you very much. These trail-oriented development projects have been a passion for a lot of people, and I want to personally thank the planning staff for being hyper diligent. What you're seeing now is, I believe, the 14th version of this application, and so you know that they're trying really hard to make sure that they do everything that they can to get this right based on community feedback and that of the Planning Commission, Planning Department. I also am extremely thrilled to be able to bring to you a couple of letters, and I'll read them on behalf of neighbors and then hand them over to you. First of all, Giancarlo Angeletti owns the property directly next door. Mr. Giancarlo Angeletti writes, he's originally from Bologna, Italy. I moved to Nashville in 1994 and opened Solo Mio, a fine dining Italian cuisine, and operated it until just last month at my downtown Nashville location at 3rd Avenue South. I've lived at 214 Ben Allen Road for 23 years. The land is approximately 9.5 acres, and my home is situated in the front on 1/3 of the parcel along Ben Allen. I've leased my downtown Nashville real estate, and I'm now ready to retire, and a portion of my Ben Allen Road land is included in the SP submitted, along with my neighbors Dick King and Ron Bryce. We share mutual respect for these properties, and we are all committed to preserving the beauty and the views of this unique Nashville land. Development is part of progress, and it's going to be all around me. I'm excited to be included and committed to the plan submitted and the development of the land as proposed. I plan to remain in my home as my retirement takes shape. The sale of part of my land will help provide for my retirement and allow me options to remain in my home and on the land as it transitions. Also, to the other side of the property, I have a letter from Mr. March Edgerton. I'd like to express my support for the above referenced SP, also known as the 224 Ben Allen Road SP. The typography is obviously challenging, but I believe the applicants have attempted to respect the conservation policy as well as incorporate elements of the trail-oriented development plan that was recently approved for several properties in the immediate vicinity. I'm the owner of one such property, the Zero Heart Lane parcel directly to the east of 224 Ben Allen project. I have made clear to the applicants and wanted to express to you and whomever else it may concern my willingness to work with them in the future regarding connectivity between our properties. That extends not only to street and alley connections where feasible, but connectivity of trails and green space as well. This entire area has been a passion for a number of people and a number of Nashvillians who want to do the right thing in making sure that this hill and this entire area is respected and preserved. Two things that we specifically asked on behalf of the community. In analysis with the trail-oriented development, you get to do some commercial on Ben Allen and Hart. Well, what kind of commercial, right? In doing some analysis, we realized that there is an overwhelming need for daycare in this area. More and more families are moving to this area. Unlike the applicant before us, we welcome families with children that are going to grow up in a green space, and we want to be able to provide this daycare for them. It will be very close in vicinity to, on the other side of Ben Allen, of the school that's proposed. So we are not building just amazing homes, but a new neighborhood and a new point of view, if you will, from this area of Nashville. When you're looking at the other elements in regard to particularly those 8 homes and those large, you just see blocks, right? If you'll envision, if you will, Pigeon Forge, okay? And you look up on the hill and the homes are built into the hill. The roads to get up to them are private roads, but people do that because it's a beautiful place to live. That's been the respect and the description that we've been able to give the community in regard to these homes closest to the top. In regard to access to the top of the hill, I don't know about you, but I can't get access now, so any improvement is better. This is definitely going to be a hike. It's not going to be a stroll, and you probably won't be able to get a wheelchair up there. But it is going to be something that we need to preserve, and these landowners want to preserve it. In doing some walkabouts up on top of the hill, they've found a survey stone that we're going to ask the folks in Historic to take a look at. It very well could be the lookout directly looking at Fort Negley from up on top of this hill. So that's something that we want to preserve. It's something that we want to be able to get school kids and historians to be able to get up there to do. And that is part of this plan. So with that, if you have any questions on my behalf, I want to be available to you, but I am here on behalf of the neighbors, all the surrounding landowners, and for the neighbors that we will welcome in the future. I appreciate your consideration on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. I appreciate the explanation. Anyone in the audience wishing to speak in support? Come on up, and like normal, it's 2 minutes, and state your name and address. Appreciate you coming down.
Good evening. My name is Christian Parrow of 272 Broadmoor Drive. I've been a neighbor of Ron Bryce in this project for about 2.5 years. We got together when we all, with Nancy's help, set out to implement this trail-oriented development overlay. So March, Ron, and myself all share some passion for connectivity, public space, and the conservation of trees and green space. That's how this whole conversation got started. So when he sought out to start this plan, of course, I was concerned about the hill and the preservation of the hill, and I had 2 meetings with him, and we sat down and went over how it would look. And I, similar to everyone else, was concerned by the big white blocks, but he explained how they'd be cut into the base of the hill and still maintain the view shed when you were on top of the hill. And then on the other side, we have the trail and his greenway along Ben Allen that we've coordinated will connect with our greenway at my side of Ben Allen so that people can travel through the multiple developments and the public will still be able to access the top of that hill. And I don't know if any of you have had the opportunity to walk up it, but I'm sure Ron would be happy to host you. It's a magical view of the entire city. So with that in mind, I'd like to just state my support for the plan. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak in support? Come on up.
My name's John Bell, 222 Polk Avenue. I just want to point out a couple of things. Really, when staff looked at this, their main concern is the conservation policy and how that affects the hill. We have done everything. Mr. Bryce has done everything he possibly could do to minimize that, as the council lady has spoken. There's no opposition. There's not one letter you've received from the community. There's not one person here. This is a fantastic project. What you're getting from it is the city and the neighborhood is getting a fantastic green space up there. Staff was concerned about building the walkway up to the top of the hill, which is fantastic. And I really wish we had a picture of how amazing that view is. But we're gonna build that walkway up there. So that's not an issue. Road widths are an issue. We're doing that for conservation. So I feel like this project is going to be a shining hill. I feel like it's going to be a place that everyone will know, that everyone will want to come to, that everyone will be proud homeowners there. And the conservation issue, I think, is going to be addressed. The lots are critical. You know, they're going to have to get on their permitting process, that's going to be addressed how they're going to deal with each lot individually. And there's not that many that are above the 20%, the 25% slope. So really appreciate your approving this plan.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak in support? Seeing none, anyone wishing to speak in opposition? All right, seeing none, any other comments from the applicant? Or
I would just, if you are willing to consider approval for this, when you're looking at one of the 2 sets of the approval from or recommendations from Public Works, it talks about recommendations for the public standards and the public road standards. There is full intent for these roadways to be built with the asphalt sections that can withstand the test of time and can be built to those city specs. What we're trying not to comply with is the overall 50-foot wide right-of-way. What we have is a 24-foot wide road that helps encourage slower traffic with a sidewalk on one side. The wider we make it, the more we cut into the hill. And when we did scenarios like that in our concept plans, it ended up triggering more retaining walls and hurt the ability to actually put the houses in the hill. So I just wanted you to be aware of that if a recommendation is made and tied to conditions. And we're happy to keep working with Public Works through that issue. But thank you.
Thank you, sir. Seeing no one else wishing to speak, we'll declare the public hearing closed. And Commissioner Sims, you want to go first?
Oh, I'm so glad that all of our nights aren't this tough. We've had some tough cases. I actually like this plan. However, it isn't in compliance with any of our policies, or certainly not in line with most of the ones we really need. It's a very challenging site. It's not applicable to those areas that we want to reserve as conservation. I think there's a lot more work to do, so I don't know if the 15th attempt would work any more magic. Some of it may be the density that we're trying to do here. And if we cut down the density, we may be able to address some of these issues. But with Public Works expressing such issues, and some of them we don't even have in front of us, I have real concerns about this one.
Commissioner Gabel?
I have some concerns as well. I would like you to show me go back to the drawing that has the slopes on it. So, would you go through the colors again and how steep those are?
Sure. So the light blue color is 15 to 20% slopes. The yellow would be 20 to 25, and the red would be slopes of 25% or more.
So I'm struggling with how to actually do all that. I do applaud their efforts and think they're going the right direction, but I'm kind of struggling without listening to what other commissioners have to say.
Commissioner Moore?
I have to agree, and I really do appreciate the work that's gone into this, both from the staff side and the development side. But I'm also struggling, again, looking at some of the policy. It's just not quite there, so I'll continue to listen as well.
Councilman? Commissioner Michelle?
So what would it take for it to comply with the Conservation District, for them to build fewer units in that 25% slope area if they reduce the units into only in the areas that are 20% or lower? Is that what would, because that's the main problem.
I'll take a stab at this one. This was a tough project for us. We debated it a lot because I think there are some benefits that the council lady expressed very well to the overall context in terms of the trails, but we were concerned by the amount of homes and disturbance in the conservation areas. Sometimes when you have areas of slopes that aren't contiguous, or lots that are at sort of in corners of slopes, we will support that even if it's in conservation, because we think that that overall we can meet the intent of the conservation with building approaches that are creative to build into the slope and the like. On this instance, given the amount of disturbance, it was difficult for us to support. I think this is a case, and it's difficult for me to say this because sometimes it's not always possible, but this was a case where having an additional property that maybe had fewer conservation features, so there was more flexibility to protect those elements, might have been helpful, but sometimes that's not possible. We understand that. And so typically when you have this level of conservation, we usually see more areas that are outside of it. And so we'll support more density in those locations. That just wasn't the case with the configuration of this property, which is ultimately why we got to a disapproval. But I will say we had a lot of debate here internally, because while the conservation was definitely a concern, we also saw some benefits to the open space.
So I really like the daycare aspect. I like the fact that they put all the trails in, but I do completely understand the idea of conserving the slope. And so what is the possibility of deferring and coming back with fewer units one more time?
So I think that question would probably be best addressed by the applicant, as they would be doing some changes to the plan and would want them to speak to their schedule and their goals.
The applicant?
One of the best parts about this property are the larger lots that are shown, and they're shown as acre lots because they were wanted to be sold as in, what we'd end up doing is platting it with HOA taking care of the private roads. But we're able to tier those houses, and so it looks like a lot of disturbance there, but we have that long meandering road in order to keep it at a west slope and run the terrain and not disturb as much. And so I think it's a little bit deceiving on the amount of disturbance that can go into it. And with those, when you're building a couple thousand square foot footprint on an acre lot, you're not going to be disturbing the whole thing. And a good portion of that property at the top being dedicated to the public is a great value. But as far as deferring in the schedule, I don't know if those acre lots are the ones that we could cut off, and those are the ones that are in the worst spot. And so it's obviously something we would consider.
Well, now's the time.
What's that?
So are you willing to do a deferral or not? We just need to know.
Ultimately. Ron, I need you to make that decision. Yes, we'd be willing to make a deferral. I just wanted to give somewhat of a warning that those lots are the ones that we would want to preserve, primarily for the views to downtown.
Okay. Councilman?
I think, if you don't mind, I think they will benefit from you telling them what's your desire or how much of a reduction you would like to see. Well, for the people that are asking them to come back, the way they know if it's something that is attainable or not. I mean, I don't know that we can tell them how many.
Councilman, hold on. There's a lot of noise, and so we need to make sure we keep the door closed out there. If y'all will check that. We can't hear each other. Councilman, you're recognized.
For the benefit of the applicant, I think it will be good for them to understand where we're coming from.
Yeah, we'll continue to discuss it, and then before we make a motion, we'll get back to the applicant on deferral.
So
they seem willing to do it.
My intent would be to get towards an approval from planning, from staff. And so I would defer to staff to discuss with them a way to reduce the number of units or to change the configuration somehow so that it could better fit the conservation. So it wouldn't be me who would ask a particular number of units or anything like that.
Okay. Councilor Butcher.
Well, I would be interested to hear what staff's vision would be to make it a plan that would be something that they could suggest approval for. One question I had was regarding the recommendations from the reviewing agencies. It sounded like there are some recommendations that had come back after printing of the agenda. So if you could just go over that.
Absolutely. So since the report has been printed, Stormwater has updated their recommendation to just approval. That's typical at a preliminary plan because they're looking at basic areas for stormwater management. There are also conditions of approval from the traffic and parking reviewers. There are several slides of these, so I won't walk you through all of them except to say that they have made a number of recommendations about turn lanes and how the access points should work, and in particular, a traffic management plan for the daycare to facilitate the pickup and drop off that comes with that sort of use. And some recommendations also in here about sidewalks and parking. The portion, Public Works actually reviews in kind of two different capacities. There is their traffic group and also their roads group. And so the roads group recommendation in your staff report has not been updated. So their recommendation as printed in your report, in which they've returned it asking for some additional changes and information, is still the most current one. But the traffic conditions were provided this afternoon. So,
what about stormwater?
So they, as I mentioned, have updated their recommendation to approval. At the preliminary plan stage, what they're basically evaluating is whether there are adequate areas on site for stormwater to be treated and detained if necessary. They get into all the details and calculations at the final site plan stage, and so they typically do not have any conditions on preliminaries. If the basic areas are adequate, they go ahead and recommend that it move forward. So that's what they've done here.
So it sounds like, at least from one portion of Public Works, that we're still waiting for them. So it'd be, I mean, I'm not trying to put words into anyone's mouth, but it would be inappropriate at this point to approve it anyway if we haven't received all the recommendations.
Typically, if we're at a disapproval anyway and the applicant wants to proceed, we'll go ahead and hear the case. But I think if we end up in a deferral, as was discussed, we would expect that we would have recommendations from all reviewing agencies by the time you have it back.
So with that said, are you recommending a 2-meeting deferral? Is that so that the staff can?
I think if the commission is interested in pursuing a deferral, it would be helpful to clarify some of the issues that we need to look at, which I think you've already begun to do. And then also, I think a 2-meeting deferral would be appropriate so we have time to sit down and work through the issues.
All right. Commissioner Blackshear.
Can I make a motion?
Well, sure. Oh, another question. How about we'll come back.
I had a different question, and that's just, so we just approved on consent 330 units across the street from this, right?
So that was an amendment. That plan was approved.
Okay.
Some time ago.
Okay.
Last year.
But
yeah.
do we have just an idea? I mean, there's a lot of units going in on this one little stretch, so I just want to make sure, as we've been talking about, trying to make sure infrastructure aligns with the development.
Yeah.
How are we doing that?
We do work closely with Public Works during the traffic scoping work, and Public Works will look at the developments in the area as background for traffic and take those into account in its conditions for the project. So they're not looked in isolation. But I agree with you. This portion of of our community really is growing and changing a lot, and so I think it's critical that we get those conditions correct.
Yeah, I just wanted that on the record.
So it sounds like we are urging a 2-meeting deferral. I want to make sure the applicant is okay with that.
We will be willing to accept the deferral for a couple meetings.
Thank you.
And
appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right, so if somebody would make a motion.
I move that we defer this item for 2 meetings.
But that is to not open the public hearing again. I think the basis is that we need to discuss it and look at the slope policy and the conservation overlay, not the, right? No.
Yes.
Don't reopen the public hearing.
Yes.
Is that correct?
That's
Yes.
right.
So it's a motion, 2-meeting deferral to not open the public hearing again. Okay. And that's a motion. Is there a second? Second, any other discussion?
One more question. If it's a disapproval, we would hear it again. If you come back with another disapproval, it would again be, we would hear it again.
Oh, well, yes. If it comes back as approval, we won't need to hear it again. And then if it's a disapproval, that is a great, correct.
Okay, and just to clarify, we're a 2-meeting deferral. We're going to assess the slopes, the number of units, and the disturbance and the grading plan.
Yes.
Okay.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. It's deferred 2 meetings. All right, so we are on item 23, and the councilman, I think a few things we have an update. Councilman, welcome.
Hi, how are you? So we were speaking out in the hall regarding item 23, Edge Hill Neighborhood Conservation Zoning Overlay. There had been a thought among the folks that we were talking to have the public hearing tonight, but for me to request of the commission that you defer your decision in order for there to be more community input. I think per the chairman's request and given the context of the meeting tonight, I think the desire, what I have heard from the commission, is to keep the public hearing and the decision-making process together on the same evening. So You all have been very accommodating of me over the years. I would like to make the request that we defer this item to the July 26th meeting. And I want to make sure that everybody who's still here knows that that's at the Board of Education, correct? Okay,
we'll confirm that and make
just
sure.
want to be sure. Okay,
Yeah.
so my formal request is to request that item 23 be deferred until the July 26th meeting.
And we appreciate that. That is something that we try to hear it the same night, and then that way everybody, it's on the same track. So we appreciate your willingness, because a lot of times, I just really appreciate that.
Totally understand.
Councilman. Thank you very much.
If I may, just to confirm, the July 26th meeting is at 4 p.m. at 2601 Bransford Avenue, which is the Metro Board of Administration building. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. We really appreciate it. But we'll need a motion to defer to the July 26th meeting.
Make a motion to defer item 23 to July 26th.
That's a proper motion. Is there a second? And second, any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. The item's deferred. We're on item 29. All right, but this particular item was on the consent agenda. I want to make sure that we had one person in opposition. Is that person still here? Okay, perfect. No problem.
Okay, the next item is item 29. This is a request to change the zoning from R10 to RS10 on various properties located along General Bate Drive between Gray Bar and Caldwell Lanes. We are just east of Leland Lane in the Green Hills area. The staff recommendation is to disapprove as submitted and approve with a substitute ordinance. The zoning for this area is R10, which allows 1 and 2 family residential development. It's part of a large area of R10, which is seeing redevelopment into 2 family units, as you can see from the HPRs shown on this map. There is some RS10 zoning to the north, as well as some R20 zoning to the south of Caldwell Lane in kind of the bottom left corner of your screen. The policy for this area includes a small area of conservation policy at the north that recognizes floodplain associated with Browns Creek. Most of the zone change area is in T3 neighborhood maintenance policy. That policy doesn't support a single residential type. It can support single family, 2-family, multifamily in some cases. But it all just depends on the context to ensure that established residential areas develop in a manner that's consistent with the overall development pattern. In evaluating proposed downzoning such as this, staff looks generally to minimize the creation of nonconformities and to ensure that there are adequate opportunities for a diversity of housing types, which is one of the key goals of Nashville Next for all of our different policy areas. And so to that end, there are 2 existing 2-family residential developments in this zone change area. Those are shown in the hatched black lines. In order to promote diversity of housing and also to minimize creation of nonconformities, staff is recommending a substitute that would remove those 2 parcels from the zone change. So our recommendation is to disapprove as submitted and approve with that substitute ordinance.
Thank you very much. We'll open this item up for public hearing, and the applicant, come on up, and you'll have 10 minutes, and you can save 2 minutes of the 10 for rebuttal.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Chairman and members of the commission, my name is Emmett Russell. I live at 3612 General Bate Drive. My neighbors and I, who live in the homes on General Bate Drive, north of Caldwell Lane, want to first thank you for allowing us the opportunity to speak about a request to rezone our properties from R10 to RS10. This zone change has been a very important issue for us for a long time. For us, this process started in August of 2017. We began by consulting Councilman Russ Pulley about our property rights and the options available to the owners. In the course of 3 to 4 meetings at our homes with neighbors and Councilman Pulley, we learned about the tools available to us, a possible zone change and/or a contextual overlay. We also learned that the other half of General Bate, between Browns Creek and Woodmont Lane, has already been changed from R10 to RS10. In late January, a survey addressing the zone change was distributed by mail, by email, and by hand to over 100 homeowners in our area to determine the level of interest in a change. The discussion of possible change was carried out on social media, next door specifically, and through direct email. Although the current request is for a zoning change only to General Bate, a broader area had originally been targeted during the survey, but some folks preferred no change or not to participate at all. Therefore, we decided to focus on the residences highlighted on the map in the staff report. About 80% of those who responded on our street are in favor of the zone change, many of whom are present this evening or have written letters in favor of the change. Ultimately, our desire is to create an area of sensitive development to preserve the character and general pattern of development in the neighborhood, but also to accommodate increased density as we understand that some change over time is inevitable. We believe that the substitute ordinance recommended by the Planning Office provides housing diversity in our area, but also secures and solidifies the integrity and the infrastructure of our neighborhood as well. We hope you will help us make this change to preserve the neighborhood that we love and live in. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, sir. We'll reserve 2 minutes for rebuttal. Appreciate you coming down. Anyone wishing to speak in support? Come on up. Welcome. Appreciate you waiting through the long meeting.
You know, I'm gifted at that part. Chairman Atkinson, Commissioners, thank you so much for your time tonight. I will be brief. I'm Maggie Duncan, and I'm here with my husband, Ken, and my son, Neil. And we would just like to share with you that we purchased our home in this neighborhood over 12 and a half years ago for the schools, the quaint lot size, and the neighborhood setting. Therefore, we ask on behalf of our family that you approve this request in an effort to preserve the integrity of our neighborhood and our investment. Thank you very much for your time tonight.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys coming down. Anyone else? Welcome.
Hello, I'm Gina Russell. I live at 3612 General Bate Drive, and my children here. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. My husband and I moved to our neighborhood 20 years ago because of the lovely character of the neighborhood, the trees, and the quality of the homes. We've even had offers to buy our house if ever we wanted to sell because of these very reasons. 20 years ago, we bought our house not just as a temporary place to live, but as our home, which includes the character of the neighborhood. We simply ask that you please help us preserve it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Welcome.
Welcome to you. Thank you, Council, for hearing us. My name is Lynette Kraft. I live at 950 Gray Bar Lane, which is I'm on the corner, so my property does touch General Bates, and I'm actually here in support of this resolution because I want to support my neighbors for making such a selfless choice. I am in the creek, technically, so I get nailed every time there's a big flood, and thank you to the taxpayers for helping us out of some of those jams. I love my neighborhood. My neighbors are great. I'm here for the trees. So the reason why I'm really in support of this downzoning is if my neighbors are willing to take what is probably a sizable financial hit in order to preserve the integrity of one house on their lots, that means they're not going to cut down those 70-year-old elm trees like we have seen with some of this development. We've already lost 7 trees kitty corner from me, and I already see all the flood. Every time it rains hard, just more water in the creek. I know where I live. I know what I signed up for. I really just think, I'm from the prairie originally, so Nashville is the most emerald green, beautiful, tree-filled city in the world. And yes, we partially chose this neighborhood also because of those trees. And we plant trees every inch I can get in my yard. My husband thinks I'm probably at tree capacity. So, but my neighbors are going to preserve their trees, and I just really would like you to say yes to their desire to do that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in support? Come on up.
Hey, Joseph Brett, 3614 General Bait Drive. Thanks for having us tonight. Appreciate the time. Just want to echo my neighbor's thoughts on preserving the neighborhood, preserving the characteristics of the neighborhood. We're all for sensitive development, and I think the substitute proposal allows for that. I think I'd be remiss not to mention that we also have two 90-year-old neighbors that couldn't be here that have written letters in support of this that have lived in their houses since the 50s. Thank you for the time.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak in support? Seeing none, anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Come on up. Welcome.
My name is Audrey Thomason. My husband and I and my family live at 3609 General Bait Drive. Just wanted to say we're not actually in full opposition, but we wanted an amendment. We're asking to be pulled out of the downzoning. When we purchased our home in 2016, we're on the corner. We do not have a garage, and our original intent was to build a garage with a garage apartment. When the survey went out, we were not aware that downzoning would affect the ability to build the garage apartment. Unfortunately, the zoning, as you know, for the garage apartment is also tied into the ability to be able to build 2 full houses on the lot. The attached garage apartment was intended to rent out in the short term to offset the cost of construction, but then to be a mother-in-law apartment in the future when needed. Also, possibly our own aging-in-place option. Not being able to install a full kitchen will cause economic hardship, as it will limit our ability to rent it out, and it also would affect our enjoyment of the space in the future if we decide to use it for ourselves. We are one of the larger lots on the street without a garage, and we would just like to be removed from the downzoning application so that we may build the garage apartment as we intended when we purchased it. We believe it's still within the common goal of providing diverse, affordable housing for the neighborhood while maintaining the neighborhood character. We are on our own block face, so we hope that we can be pulled out without affecting the downzoning of the rest of the street. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for coming. Appreciate it. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? Seeing none, 2-minute rebuttal, please.
Well, Audrey and I have worked together.
Oh, sorry. We'll restart the clock.
That's all I get.
You're done. You're over. Hold on 1 second.
We're all of a common mind here, and we've all worked together toward this. I can go in 50 seconds. It's fine.
Hold on. We'll get it straight. We're having some technical difficulty here. Well, we know.
There's
All
nobody
right,
else.
Go ahead. We'll give you. We'll try a traditional watch. You can go ahead. Sorry about that.
Well, we're all good friends and good neighbors, and we wish to respect, any consideration on Audrey's part as well. However, I just wouldn't want to set a precedent that would somehow throw a loop into a long process that we've been involved in since August of 2017. So, we're not going to be opposed to Audrey's wish to maybe be pulled out if it doesn't affect what the planning office has already suggested with the other 2 lots being pulled out. If we can work through that, I think the rest of us would be in agreement and hopefully be able to change the zoning.
Thank you. Seeing no one else wishing to speak, we'll declare the public hearing closed. Mr. Goblin, you want to go first?
So which lot did the speaker want to have removed?
It's at the top.
Here, I'll point to it, I think, if I can get the mouse to cooperate. There we go. So it's this one here on the corner, is that?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so it is kind of an isolated, it's not like another one in the middle. Well, I'm very sympathetic to her issues as well. Certainly, I applaud the efforts of the community, and it makes sense. I would think that the staff goes along with it. I could see how removing that lot as well. But that's just, I'll listen to the other commissioners.
Commissioner Moore.
From staff's perspective, what would it take to remove that lot?
I would just say there are a couple of factors that we consider when removing lots. Sean, can you show if there's any conservation? So to your first question, it would take the commission essentially making a motion to amend the staff's recommendation to also include removing this lot. There are a couple factors you might take into account as you think about that. One is it is on a corner, so it's somewhat isolated, and there are some instances in which we will support corner lots having duplexes because they may be more appropriate than something mid-block. So that's one factor you might take into account in addition to the owner's wishes. The other factor on the reverse side is there is some conservation here. So my guess is this is floodway or floodplain. Generally, we don't want to see more intensity in those areas. However, they will need to meet stormwater requirements if they were to move forward with any building development. So we do have some protection, but those are the kinds of things that you might take into account in your deliberations.
So technically, with the existing zoning, would that, I mean, how they would be able to possibly consider building on the additional garage unit anyway, correct? Or is that?
Sean, do you want to?
So under the current zoning, the R10 zoning, there's a possibility for 1 or 2 units. There are some conditions, and that second unit, if you had it, could be attached or detached. There are some conditions that have to do with when the lot was created and how that you have to meet to be eligible for that second unit. That determination is usually made by the zoning examiners in the codes department. But assuming that they met those conditions and were eligible, then there is a possibility of a second unit today.
I'll continue to listen.
Vice Chair?
I think, given it's on the corner, given that we've pulled out the house across the street, the units across the street, yeah, I think I would be fine with proceeding with an amendment to the amended ordinance.
Commissioner Blackshear?
I'm also not troubled by pulling that lot out. I think it is interesting that part of it is in the conservation area, but if you still have to meet stormwater regulations, and I mean, the neighbor's not arguing to go to a more intense zoning, just arguing to keep their zoning as it is. It doesn't bother me at all to pull it out.
Commissioner Michelle?
No comment.
Councilman?
So yes, if I don't want to do anything to remove the conservation designation of that property, and we're not doing that by removing this from this unit. So
Correct.
For the property owner, you need to be aware that this is not changing the fundamental, sorry that I speak into that. But yeah, I'm okay removing it from this particular proposal.
It's a perfect time for a motion.
And I make a motion that we do that.
So it's been a motion to approve the staff recommendation as amended with that particular property 068 to be removed. Oh.
I think it's 088.
Sorry, 088. Where?
Put our spectacles.
Sorry.
It is fuzzy.
So it's a proper motion, and is there a second? There been a second. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it, and it's been approved as we submitted. So that takes us to, and we appreciate y'all coming down. Thank you very much. And so we are on other business, and item 34, historic, it's not here. Board, parks, commissioner's not here. Executive committee report, we have nothing, do we, Vice Chair?
Thank you for doing our new executive director.
Well, there is a new executive director, and also I want to say I feel like the transition is going really well. So I want to thank Bob and Lucy for that, and so we really appreciate it. Let's give them a round of applause. And let's see.
Bob really red.
Bob's turning red. I thought that was his tan. And Councilman, anything?
No, all is good.
All is good at the council, y'all.
Yeah, kind of.
And then, Lucy, you have anything you want to report on? All right. Nothing? No? Is there a motion to adjourn?
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.